Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Monday Night Coverage on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Tonight, it's the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series into the halfway of the regular season. The regular season, only 11 races in total, and race number 7, it's the Cody's Epic Magic Mile 160 at New Hampshire. The drivers are set and prepared for tonight's race. Going to be a lot of hot, heavy action of drivers trying to stay on course, but how well can they do so? Again, this is race number 7 of the season. We've had 6 races so far, 6 different winners, and playoff spots are dwindling quickly if you're planning on pointing your way in to the playoffs. But tonight, going to be a good task to see who can handle the short track racing. And up in the booth with myself, I'm Sam Dyer. Joining me is going to be Zach Hall. And Zach, got a minute left in practice for qualifying, but New Hampshire, certainly a great destination after last week at Darlington.
It really is, Sam. I'm excited for this, man. This track here is very, very flat. They call it the Magic Mile, as it's been known to have some wild races in the past. And another cool thing, no history here at ISRC. Normally we talk about our trends, we talk about what's happened in the past, but nothing to base it off here tonight other than just previous experiences at short tracks at these flat style courses like New Hampshire is here with this mile racing course. But in itself, it's its own kind of beast. So I'm interested to see who can tackle it and really grab hold of this track, because it's a track that's known to suit certain drivers.
Yeah, and certain drivers that we've seen run well at similar courses like this. Think of Phoenix. You think of as well going to be that of Milwaukee Mile. Milwaukee hasn't been ran since season 1, where Mark Whitley almost got into victory lane but got past and spun out on the last restart, and the victory went to Vincent Sora. But Phoenix, last time we were at that course, Danny Cochran found himself into victory lane and actually found himself winning the championship that night. The two's hoping for that same magic to happen here this evening, as he is on the charge to try to find some good runs. Mark Whitley, after last week's win, gonna hope to be the first driver to have 2 wins in season 5. Practice is over. It's time for practice. It's time for qualifying as drivers get prepared. And when I was talking to the drivers, Zach, it sounded like everyone said this could be the most important aspect of the whole entire race.
It really could be. This track is flat, folks. It is not very banked at all. And what that causes is it makes it very tough to pass. You don't have the grip and the banking there to fall away onto, and it makes passing come at really a premium. So this qualifying session here is going to be very important. We do have a long race, 150 laps, so if you do have a bad qualifying session, it's not impossible to make up, but this puts you in such a better chance of getting through the mayhem that may play out throughout the night. So we'll see who can master qualifying. It's very tricky to get a lap perfect here, especially when you're on the edge of the grip level. You've got to be really trying everything in your back pocket to go for that pole position.
And a lot of drivers have been aiming for the first lap to be the pole lap, so watch the board. These first couple of laps are going to be so impactful. Each driver have 2 laps, to put down their fastest time, and 5 minutes to put down those laps. If you are not able to put down at least 1 lap in those 5 minutes, you'll be starting at the tail end of the field. Christopher Norris on screen, missed out on last week, was formerly the points leader before missing out. Now has fallen down the points board, but one of the most consistent drivers in our first 4 races, and across the line, hoping to top the board and beat out Danny Cochran. Mark Whitley will fall to 2nd, and it's Nick Crawford who will take the pole as Norris moves up to 3rd.
Nick Crawford with a great lap, 31.5 for himself. We'll see if he can find any more time on his second lap of qualifying. Just seen Christopher Norris there go for a wild ride there through off of 2. Let's say Danny Cochran picked up on his second lap, but not enough to overtake Nick Crawford, who looks to be holding on here for the moment. Sam, looks like Trenton jumped though on his first lap, also in a very high speed shown, but first lap for Nick Crawford is shown to be the top time.
Yeah, and also Mark Whitley was able to get a better lap on his second time, but still Nick Crawford holds the top of the board. 46 of Trenton Jumps going to hope to best out the 74 as Austin Halsey spins out. That time's not going to count for himself. Other drivers bouncing through and seen as they cross the line. Currently, right now, it's the 74 Nick Crawford, Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, and John Forbes, who's missed out on the last 2 races after a iRacing itself suspension. 11, excited to be back out on track. That's a good start to be outside of our top 5.
Good signs there for 11 for sure, because he needs to make up points. He's been out of a few races for sure, like Sam said there. And no better place to start here than a really tough track up front in the top 4. So that's good for Forbes there. So we're watching the 25 of Cody Reed his teammate there at Snowy Desert Racing. We'll see what can he put down lap time wise here. So he'll be coming around for his first lap here. It'll be a 32.49. That's going to place him right behind his teammate John Forbes. So Snowy Desert Racing right now first, fourth, fifth, and seventh.
Cody Reed also very excited as he's got to spin out in that first time. It's going to be the best one he can put down in fifth place currently. But Cody Reed going to be the sponsor of today's race. Again, it is the Cody's Epic Magic Mile 160. Cody's sponsored a couple of races in the past couple of seasons. Gateway a few seasons ago, last season at Watkins Glen, where he actually won at that race. He's hoping some of that magic can rub off into the night and get the 25 into victory lane for his second career ISRC Truck Series win. Martin Morales close off the exit of the corner, and his first lap will tick in, looking to be a 30.707, needing some major gains if he's going to go for a top 10 position. Currently 22nd place, but there's a lot of time to be grabbed on this second lap.
A lot of speed to be found here for Martin for sure, Sam, and down the back straightaway into 3 and 4. See if he can clean it up and find a few more spots on the board as the drivers ahead of him. Austin Halsey was the one who spun out earlier, didn't get to complete his lap. Looks like Martin's going to have a similar fate, going to touch the inside wall. That invalidates the lap, so no second lap for Martin Morales. He's going to have to settle for 22nd on the board, and that's not what he wanted to see. Is now we're checking out the 98 Malik Kuntz winner from Dover, who's been carrying a lot of momentum, in my opinion. Sam, this driver may be one of the hottest drivers in the series.
When we talked about it a lot last season, was very fast in the first half of races, was always a top 5 contender, but then would wreck and finish outside the top 20 most weeks. This 98 coming into the night, you want to be in the top 10 in points, 13th on the board after the first lap here at New Hampshire. And Malik Kuntz hoping to get a little bit of extra speed, keeping it wide off the exit of the corner of turn number 2. It's been turn 4, looks like, for qualifying, the tricky spot as the 98 sticking to that second lane through the center of the corner, trying to find a little bit of extra momentum off the exit, close to the outside wall, maximizing the speed. 13th was the first lap, and across the line, doesn't look to be able to advance in positioning. We'll see officially where drivers qualified in just a few moments, as qualifying results sponsored by Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios. Go head over to @Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios on Instagram to go check out their wide selections of full-color custom tattoos, prints, paintings, stickers, and more. Go check out what you can find at Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios. Taking the pole award, it's the 74 of Nick Crawford. Been fast and hoping to get into victory lane for last season's champion. And behind him, going to be season 3 champion of Danny Cochran. And second, third to Mark Whitley. John Forbes, like I said, back after 2 races being missed, the 11th and 4th. Fitz Cody Reed, Trent Jump in 6th, Christopher Norris in 7th, 8th, Michael Blake Poppy. Then it's going to be Ollie Fonseca in 9th. Finish out our top 10, it's Ryan Bird.
In the 11th position, it's going to be Joshua Kanata. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be Cody Smith. 13th is going to be to the driver that we just watched qualify, the 98 of Malik Kuntz. 14th is going to go to the 6 of Justin Smith. 15th is going to be GT Irizarry alongside him. And 16th is going to be Anthony Gaudio. 17th is going to be the 29 of Logan Brakey. 18th position is going to be held by Tyler Horn. 19th is going to go to Dakota Muniz. And rounding out the top 20 is Ryan Ferraro.
The last couple of drivers going to be Kyle Rochelle in 21st position, Austin Halsey in 22nd, Mark Morales in the One Machine in 23rd, and Mason Cassidy. Finish out the drivers that decided to put a time in. Drivers that didn't put a time in starts off with Joshua Freed in 25th position, 26th is Eric Stamp, Matt Upbrook in 27th, and 28th is Tyler Dangler. As those drivers that did not put a time in, it's based off of their iRating, and whoever has the highest iRating, it's the highest positioning, and it continues to go down. But that's where the field will be set for tonight's race for the Cody's Epic Magic Mile 160 at New Hampshire. 150 laps this evening. We do have a stage break at the end of lap 60. No fast repairs and 4 extra sets in tires in pit road. Zach, we talked about this track. It's going to be a tough one overall this evening. What are you expecting in these first couple of laps?
Well, these first couple laps could be a little tricky. Cold tires. We've seen drivers there in qualifying struggle with drive off the corner, really getting spun out and losing their trucks. Well, that's something you're going to see very often here tonight on these restarts on cold tires. And I think when we see this group out here pacing around this New Hampshire Motor Speedway, you're going to see a lot of movement being shown by the leaders up front who are trying to build heat, get as much energy into those tires to have grip coming down here into turn one, especially off of turn two to propel themselves down that back straightaway. But I expect early it's going to be a filling out game here till we get to that stage, but after that this could turn into some chaos. This track is known to have that, but we also, I've seen it in the past, have long green flag runs here, so anything is possible here in the Magic Mile.
New Hampshire Motor Speedway going to be a little bit over 1 mile in distance, 2 to 7 degrees of banking through the corner, so it's a flat course. Drivers going to be searching for grip everywhere. Pace car's going to pull off. Matt Upbrook's going to be starting pit road, but up front it's Nick Crawford, Danny Cochran into the restart zone. We're green for the Cody's epic Magic Mile 160, and it's bump drafting action. 3 wide into turn number 1. Mark Whitley wants the lead immediately for the 77.
Big time risk being shown by the 77, and it almost all comes together in the middle of the corner, but Nick Crawford's going to power off of turn 2 and have control of the lead, but Mark Whitley's going to be fighting Danny Cochran, and we'll see early here which lane is going to prevail, the inside or the outside.
And drivers wanting the lead position immediately. Nick Crawford got a great launch to the center of the corner, that middle groove, but it's side by side. Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, these two drivers have known to have a little bit of beef when it comes to short track racing, and a very aggressive entry for the two machine. Danny Cochran got to be careful, doesn't want to make the early mistake now.
Way up the racetrack there on entry for him, and like you said, Sam, doesn't want to make that early mistake. It's been a season full of those mistakes from him, as he's really been trying to clean that up here, and he had a good finish last week. Kind of got lucky with the positioning of the way the cautions played out, but at the same time, he's coming into a track he feels confident at, but right now he's having to battle the driver that he's probably going to have to beat.
Early troubles for drivers further on in the field. Tyler Horn off into the grass, going to keep ourselves green, but up front, drivers trying very different entry points. Danny Cochran going extremely wide, while Mark Whitley in the 77, an extreme shallow entry. Kind of, one of those spots where drivers here at New Hampshire have been trying to find where is the true speed at, as we're seeing the battle for that 4th position. Trenton Jump, John Forbes, almost side by side. Trenton Jump's going to take that position up 2 spots from where he qualified. The 46 is on the move.
46 always seems to be on the move. That's kind of his MO, but he's got to watch out for John Forbes, who's trying to get back into a good position here after missing those past 2 weeks as we hop on board with them down the back straightaway. You're just going to see how tough it is here to make stuff happen because, again, there is multiple grooves to run at this racetrack, but again, making speed at each of those grooves is all up ahead of them. We didn't get to see that too well there, but Mark Whitley very, very close to making contact with the front bumper of Trent Jump at the big grooves.
Yeah, the entries for Mark Whitley have been so aggressive. I'm curious on how those tires are going to be feeling as this run progresses moving forward, because that loose sensation, expecting it to mount up as the further we go on through this run. But Zach, I'm curious on your thoughts on that aggression, because it looks like Mark no longer trying that shallow entry anymore.
No longer trying it, but the one thing I'm watching from Danny Cochran is watch this 2 machine. When he comes off of turn 2, I watched him in qualifying do this, and I've actually seen Danny Cochran himself do this similar line before. You slow it way up in the entry here and watch him cut way down the track. I mean, he almost goes onto the pit exit line there and tries to get a good drive off the corner. I don't know how well that's going to work over the long run, but it's working decently at this point, and it's allowing him an opportunity to try something different to maybe make some type of run towards Nick Crawford up front. But Crawford looking solid right now just in that second groove.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers picking and choosing which lane they felt the most comfortable. Danny Cochran, with how low he is through the center off the corner, back in the day at New Hampshire, about a year and a half ago, drivers actually on the exit of the corners would go down to the apron. It was a much preferred where they would find some extra grip. Looks like tonight it's down to that yellow line for the 2 machine as he's right on the back bumper. But drivers that are returning back, talk about John Force back after missing a couple of weeks. Christopher Norris, after one of the hottest starts you could ask for, the 38, back to racing after missing 1 week. I'm curious on how that momentum swing is going to hurt 38 moving forward here tonight.
It very well could throw him a little bit off. I mean, after having the points lead and having such a great start to his season, we'll see how he comes back, but a good start to tonight. I mean, qualified in that 7th position, has been able to hold station, as you see back there, a truck almost into the grass. I believe that's the 7 of Cody Smith, who's gathering it up here down to the 3 and 4, but wild ride there for Smith, and I think it's something as the run goes on, we're going to see more and more of Sam as drivers darting left and right when they come off the exits of these corners.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about how this league has never ran here at New Hampshire before in its 4 seasons before this season 5 run, and think back to that of that of the Milwaukee Mile, and that track really burned up the tires late into the run. And when you look at other vehicles that have ran here at New Hampshire, it seems like the longer the run goes on, these tires are going to be angry. If drivers have not been trying to protect themselves, they could be finding themselves being spun around here in the next 5 to 10 laps.
They really could be. And this track in the past, really here the last year or two, has become a pretty high tire wear, low and high fall off of time for older tires. So it's been a tough place to get stuff done. But we got a battle for the lead actually now as Danny Cochran somehow has been able to get a good run off of 2 and propel himself straight to the lead position. And what a job there to get that pass done, Nick. On Nick there, Sam, because that was, I mean, something you normally don't see with how easy he was able to make that pass on the bottom side.
No, you really don't. And Mark Whitley as well, looking quick. But for the 77, it looks like Nate Crawford running the identical lane that the 77 would prefer to run. So drivers being clogged up at this time. And Danny Cochran, because he's running such a unique line, it's helping him make the passes as we hop on board the 77 to the inside. Nick Crawford might have gotten the pole. The old tires, something that was hurting the 74 a little bit less at some of these races we've seen previously. 74, usually known for great tire saving, backing off as seeing these drivers move past them.
We'll have to see if this plays into this game of tire saving, or is it, just a little bit of struggles here as the run goes on. We'll have to see for him. Only 12 laps into the run. Maybe he feels that giving up the lead right now is not too big of a deal. Sometimes drivers behind you push the pace more than you want, and you really don't want to burn your stuff up, because if we do go 60 laps green here for this first stage, we can make it on fuel. You're going to have good tire wear if you want to get down to it, but it looks like he does finally clear Mark Whitley and hold on to second. But Whitley, he keeps on taking a look to the inside.
Another driver deeper in the field having troubles. Tyler Dangler has trouble going through the grass in the back stretch. Exited 2, starting to show some fangs here as this run continues on the back half of the field. They got to be careful as another driver has issues. It's Justin Smith in the 6, hard in the inside wall in the back stretch, and it seems like now, watch out, every lap we might be seeing someone go into the grass.
It really is going to be that way, Sam. It's going to be a ticking time bomb here of seeing which driver makes the big mistake to allow a caution to fly here at some point. I mean, it's really just tiptoeing here, especially the longer we go, the more and more those tires are going to heat up in the rear, and it's just going to get tighter on the exit with the front tires getting hot, and then looser with you having to turn the wheel more and put the power down. So it's just a worse condition overall, and right now drivers are starting to feel it.
Seeing drivers trying to make their way forward. Anthony Gadio in 14th position moving forward. Lee Fabio as well in 13th, trying to move forward for themselves with the 31 biggest loser so far. Everyone that started inside of our top 13, currently down 5 positions and just trying to settle in at this moment as he's watching a great battle between GT Rosario and Malik Kuntz. And Malik, once again, you could take this as a solid run for the 98 on the fact that he's so close to the top 10.
You really can, Sam. I tell you what, and you let him get a few more positions, and he's going to feel more confidence building up just from what he's done in the previous few weeks, and he'll get right back to where he's going. And I think this is a trend that he can continue. If he just keeps having these solid runs, you're going to see this driver become a threat for playoffs and title contention. So we'll see how he works through the night. Right now, just up a few spots from where he started. We'll see if he can continue to make that trend upwards.
As drivers that are inside of our top 10 have some good battles. So it's John Forbes, Cody Reed, as well as Christopher Norris starting to close in on one another. But it's the teammates, John Forbes, Cody Reed, and Christopher Norris all staying close. John Forbes seems to be holding off just slightly of Cody Reed in 6th place.
Does seem to be holding off that position as Reed is looking to look to the inside down the back straightaway, but not going to have enough maybe here, but will finally get that nose to the inside. We'll see, does a Forbes allow his teammate to just go on by, or will they race for position? It seems like for now it's going to be a race for that 5th position as Forbes not willing to give it up to his teammate.
Doesn't want to do so at all. It's going to be a ruler who will get 5th place and get the better stage points for these drivers. Again, stage break going to be at the end of lap 60 for these drivers. Top 10 drivers are going to get bonus points. Winner gets 10 bonus points, second gets 9, third gets 8, and it continues to dwindle down until 10th place. You get only 1 bonus point, as well other bonus points that can be grabbed, leading the lap, leading the most laps, and 0 incident points are ways that you can get bonus points throughout a race. And all drivers focusing on the fact that we've got just a handful of races left in the regular season. This is crunch time if you're going to be making it into the playoffs, and with that pass, Cody Reed feeling a little bit more comfortable as John Force tries to battle back on the inside lane.
Tries to do the crossover maneuver there and get the run down the back straightaway, and did do a good job, actually. That inside is actually having some pretty good runs off. I mean, it's very impressive to see what these drivers are doing from that far bottom side. And you can see from on board here from Christopher Norris, the battle continues on ahead of him and his teammates, but it looks like Reed, with this run off the corner here, might be able to just clear for a moment entering the corner, and will do it here down in the 1. But will Forbes get back up the inside? Some great racing from some teammates, as now that other teammate gets right on the back bumper.
Christopher Norris is enjoying that. There's a battle going on in front of him, trying to continue on the trend of getting a top 10 at every run, every race that he's ran so far. Let's take a better look at where our top 4 are at. This is 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. As Nick Crawford going to be running a special scheme here tonight. 74, hoping to get the pole award and get the win if possible, as he runs in 3rd place.
That he is here, Sam, running a special scheme for sure. And yeah, it's definitely something that Nick wants to do proud here tonight, as he's running a special scheme for his father. So we'll see how he can progress through the night. So far, has been on pole position, but just slowly slip back through the field. Right now, he's had the pressure of Trenton jump all over the back of him, but hasn't folded yet. And we'll see as the long run goes here. I mean, we're only 22 laps into this run. We're just under 40 to go in this stage. We could very well see these times start to fall from some of these top drivers, but Danny Cochran, I tell you, is on a rapid pace right now.
He is already gapped out to a full second and more over Mark Whitley as the drivers continue to race their own way through. This is the one thing the drivers were hoping for. Give themselves time to give spacing throughout the field so then they can have a good green flag run. And this was a concern of mine, was if the field got a good clean green flag run early in this first stage, it went clean and green all the way through, what is the second half of this race going to look like? Because drivers up front, there haven't been a lot of movement and passing going on. See the aggression level a lot more on the aggressive to terrible side of bringing out cautions once the stage yellow comes out.
I think you're exactly right. I think we could totally see that happen, and I think you might see just these drivers be a little bit more desperate on the next restart if we have this continual longer in runs like this, and they figure out that it's tough to pass. They know that when you're stacked up and you have the opportunities to make passes, they're not going to back out of the situations like maybe they did earlier in the race. They're going to take hold of those situations, and when you have 2 drivers going for the same real estate, that's when you usually have a caution. So we could very well see that play out after that stage, and I think that's something that is very likely to happen if we have it run good.
And drivers trying to keep themselves out of trouble. Here's 2 drivers, though, that have been running around one another on track and in points. Currently, going to be 3rd and 4th in points. Got Ollie Fonseca, who's 3rd in points, out of Joshua Kanata, 4th in points, tied with Nick Crawford. These 2 drivers having a pretty steady run for the both of them. Kind of quietly good seasons for the both of them. And also trying to stay inside the top 10, which I talked to Josh, said that just getting a top 10 would feel like a win.
That sometimes could be like, I mean, look at where he's running on the racetrack. This is what's cool about New Hampshire right now. I mean, personally, you can run all over this place. And even our leader, Danny Cochran, he's doing something similar to Kanata, not as aggressive there in 3 and 4, getting really the left front under the yellow line. But Kanata, I mean, all 4 tires, maybe even all 8 tires if he had that extra cell to ride of them, if he could make that exit. But that's looking good for him. And again, these 2, like you said, Sam, having very, nice and calm seasons. And right now they're starting to kind of close into this group right ahead of them.
Starting to close in and just trying to stay out of trouble the best that they can while they're closing. And there is a driver I want to go back to. That's 14th position, Mason Cassidy. I don't want to ride on board if we can and see what the 17's doing. Biggest mover so far tonight, up 10 positions, qualified in 24th spot, and was one of the drivers that was the slowest from qualifying to put down a time. But currently, the race pace is doing great to get him inside the top 15.
And the one thing I love, Sam, is he's from that Larson line team, that group. where, you know, I think Danny Cochran and these guys have gotten figured out what kind of line they want to run like this, where they chop down late on the exit. And I've seen even this group run this similar line before. And what's cool is you're seeing other drivers start to mimic it. They're seeing them do that, and they're saying, man, that's working very well, so I'm going to try that. And even shifting, I expected that to be a factor tonight. Normally don't see it too much, and the truck is 31 about wrecked right in front of him. And he luckily saves that as he holds on to the 14th position right ahead of Ryan Ferraro. But the shifting here definitely helping these drivers get the good drive off and a good launch down these straightaways.
Yeah, I was talking to that Larson Line team while they had probably the most practice sessions up throughout the week. Really wanted to be secure on coming to a tough track like New Hampshire. And Danny Cochran was always top of the board, so I'm not surprised that he's leading this race. But a lot of them were always saying, I was asking them while trying to practice myself and learn how this vehicle is going to run tonight. And they said shifting is a must. If you're going to be competitive, you have to shift. And also with shifting, drivers got to be careful of that wheel spin action as side by side. Joshua Kanata no longer wants to wait with Ollie Fonseca, the 16 to the inside groove.
We'll see how hard they race for this position halfway through stage number 1. They also got Ryan Bird right up behind them, so can't take too many risks here. If you're Kanata, a little bit of a bad drive off there, loose on that bottom apron. Couldn't get the speed he needed. Now we're going to have to slot in behind to get the 24 and try to reset. And that's what's so tough to pass here in New Hampshire. You have to be a good bit faster than somebody if you're going to make a pass. If you're just as quick or only a little bit quicker, you're just going to get held up. And right now it seems like Kanata struggling with that. Is now Bird. He's moving in position.
Ryan Bird in a must good run here tonight. Going to be in the bubble spot in point 16th position, and 16 drivers make it into the playoffs. If you get a win and you're inside the top 20, that win will automatically advance you to the playoffs. So every driver that's got a win so far this season will be advancing on based off how the points looked going into tonight's race. Ryan Bird, being the cutoff driver, recognizing he needs a good run, but after missing last week's race, just needs a solid top 10 run, and getting this extra bonus point if he finishes in 10th would be massive for the 46, who's trying to hold off the likes of John Forbes, Danny Cochran, and many of others that are quick and are still trying to bounce into the top 10 of points.
That they are, and if Cochran can go out here and win this race tonight, that would change things up. As now Kanata again diving to the inside of the 24 here and on the apron, just trying to find any little bit of grip and speed, but just not able to get enough there. But he's still able to hold his own. That's so impressive to be that much lower on the line and carry the same speed that someone does on the top. We'll see, can he make 1 and 2 work? 2 has been his struggle point here. Sam, he has to be able to get the power down. Doesn't go down where he's been going before. But again, Kanata just struggling to continue to make this pass. But I think this time, 3 and 4 where has been his strength, he may have a better opportunity being side by side this time.
It's been fun to see this battle going on. And then directly in front of this group is Joshua Kanata making slight contact. Thought he had the clearance, wasn't able to, and forcing Ollie to back off. The 24 had to let off, and the 16 will take that position as slight aggression. We'll see if there's going to be any retaliation to that type of a move. I was about to say the battling that was going on for 8th also was going on for 6th place, as this now allows Ryan Bird to get back into the mix.
That it does, Ryan Bird in the mix, but it's Christopher Norris now making the pass on John Forbes here for the 6th position on his teammate, and he's trying to get it done, but it's tough. You can see a little bit loose off the exit, couldn't put the power down, couldn't close the door on his teammate, and could not hold on to the spot as Christopher Norris just showing how much you have to tiptoe on the exit, and you want to clear that person, so you go ahead and get greedy on that gas, but it steps out that quick, you lose all that momentum.
And they have to be careful because there's a lap car directly in front of this battle, and Tyler Horn has been running the more preferred middle groove lane. That's going to be giving some dirty air to both drivers, and both unsure if the 26 is just going to continue to run his own lane or get out of the way. It looks like Tyler Horn, he's just going to continue to run at his own pace, which this could get dangerous the next couple of laps. The closer and closer they get to the 26, who's looked very unstable off the exit of turn 2.
You're exactly right, Sam, and now Forbes up in the dirty, turbulent air there, but able to get a good enough run to hold on that spot. Now here comes Kanata. He's friends with the Snowy Desert Racing team and pretty much an alliance there at Revline, and he's coming into the picture right after he passed Fonseca. I mean, he put the afterburners on and just ran these guys down, so it just shows you how much you can get held up by somebody if you're just that little bit quicker. It's still tough to pass.
Yeah, I mean, Joshua Kanata is running so fast. He's fast enough to be even passing our pulsator, Nick Crawford, in third place. This 16 is quick. And you got to watch out for the last push of this run as we're marching closer and closer to 20 laps left in stage number 1, as our stage will be concluding at the end of lap 60 if there is no yellow before lap 6. If there's a yellow between the laps of 55 to 60, that will count as our stage. But everyone's circling that number of laps and a lap 60 for themselves. But I gotta say, Zach, this has been impressive to watch these drivers as close as they've been. Some of these battles up front. The fact that we've been able to stay clean and green, it has been impressive as these drivers bouncing off one another, Norris and Kanata.
Oh, it's close there off the exit too. Somehow they did not come together, but they almost did. But it's been great racing. I mean, 38 laps right here already complete from these drivers, and I'm telling you what, I mean, this is setting up for a very, very interesting second half of this race after this stage, with these drivers knowing how tough it is to pass and how much time you can lose by just being stuck behind someone. So aggression's going to pick up, and we may see a few cautions as there is a wreck.
It's Cody Reed watching out as Joshua Kanata gets clipped, and drivers have to avoid the 25, who's sitting in a very precarious spot. And a wreck for the driver up front. Cody Reed, just in an instant, gets loose, spins around, and our first yellow of the day comes out, and I'm looking at it. I think he might have gotten a little bit of help, which you hate to see.
Yeah, and not only help, but help from a lap down truck. We'll have to see if we can get a good look at this, but yeah, Cody Reed there just getting past Justin Smith. I think he made a little contact getting past Smith. I don't know if Smith was maybe unhappy and that's what caused him to, hit Reed, or just a racing incident. This is a tough one to call here, Sam. This is a weird, awkward moment, and I'm sure one that's going to have a lot of controversy and drivers talking about this one.
I mean, once we bring this up, it's going to be a kind of a clearer picture, but we've talked about this even in past seasons. When you're a lap car, you got to get out of the way of these lead lap drivers. I understand if you're fighting to stay on the lead lap, but this is not for the lead lap. This is just fighting the lead lap driver for no reason. The 6 gassing it up off the exit of the corner, clips Cody Reed, and away the 25 goes off the exit. And a bizarre moment to see when you've got a lap car who just got passed by the 25, but is fighting back like it's for position.
That's a mistake you can't make, Sam. So unfortunately for the 6, he did. Like you said, you just got passed, and I do understand that. Like, oh, is he Kanata going by? I mean, look at that job done by him to miss that. That is huge props on him to miss that wreck or running into Reed there. But yeah, on Justin Smith, you just can't do that. I understand you got hit there on entry, and that's what allowed the lead lap car to pass you. But you're a lap down, you can't try to dive back underneath them and make the pass. It's not for that lead lap, like you were saying, Tim.
Here's Josh Kanata's point of view, just seeing a car hit, slams the brake to spin himself out, whips it around, and luckily made no contact when it could have been a lot worse. I was seeing some of these front runners get caught up in a mess, and a late yellow now is going to shake everything up. Majority of the field, 4 tires and fuel, and it's time for us to get ready for racing action because this stage is not done yet. These drivers still got to run until the end of lap 60. Top 10 drivers get bonus points. And Zach, this kind of was the scare because now everyone's clogged back up. It's going to be a short sprint to the end of this stage, and bonus points are so crucial.
Yeah, this is where it's going to get the boxing gloves out because I think these drivers are about to go at it here and risk it a little bit more, knowing what's on the line. I mean, there's a few drivers that are farther back here, just outside the top 10, that want to be in that top 10 scoring points, and I think they may be willing to risk it. And even a few drivers up front, knowing how much track position matters, they may be willing to risk it here for a good bit. But we'll see what happens. Right now, Cochran, luckily, he came out with the lead on pit road, but it was Nick Crawford who beat Mark Whitley off at second position.
And with the timing of this yellow, Matt Upbrook was able to get himself. Lucky Dog is going to be taking the wave around for the 15. We missed the initial start of this race after being disconnected. Only went a lap down. Now the 15 is going to be back out on track on the lead lap, so helps out Upbrook. Justin Smith's going to be the only driver 1 lap down. Up front, it's the two of Danny Cocker and Nick Crawford, Mark Whitley, ready to take us on this restart. You think about the initial start of the race, Mark Whitley was able to get a great launch and almost forced the Ush to go 3 wide into turn 1. Will the 77 get another fabulous launch, or will we see other drivers deep in the field have a bad exit out of turn 2? It's time to find out as you're watching the Cody Epic Magic Mile 160 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Thank you so much for joining with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcast. And if you're just joining, we're still in stage 1. Bonus points are willing to be grabbed at the end of lap 60s when our stage is done. And drivers up front recognize how crucial it can be. Pace car is off into the restart zone, and we're back to green flag action.
Great start there from Cochran on the inside line as he's able to take a very strong hold of that lead. And that's what he wants to see is him side by side for that second position on back. And Whitley and Crawford almost a little bit of contact. And you can see, look how much lower everybody is on the racetrack, seeing and learning from this earlier run.
And other drivers further in the back trying to just hold on to dear life with these vehicles so loose, trying to get heat into their tires, and the aggression level mounting up as Danny Cochran slightly loose and going to be having an opening. They're a stack 3 wide for the lead as going to be Nick Crawford bouncing the inside and the wrecking behind, and a big scare for those, and it's Cody Smith spun around for the 7.
Not surprised to see a yellow come out just like we thought. You bunch them all back up before a stage break, you're more than likely going to have some trouble, especially on those cold tires. And I think that's kind of what we've seen there from a lot of drivers, not only Cody Smith, and we'll go back here and watch on the replay, but a lot of drivers losing the rear end under power there, Sam, with those colder tires.
And with the time of this yellow, Danny Cocker and Mark Whitley were side by side. In the time of the yellow flag, Danny had just a barely of a nose ahead of the 77. So Danny will keep the lead, and Mark a little bit of grunt of frustration over the radio, and he's hoping to get that lead at some point. As you're going to see the 7 all by his lonesome, just gasses it up. The rear end just kicks out all by itself.
That's exactly what we've seen from a few others. Also, a few guys right ahead of him also had that happen, but they luckily caught it. Unfortunately for Cody Smith, he did not catch it and brings out the yellow, and this again stacks it all back up. And like you said, Mark Whitley, he actually had the preferred position. Danny Cochran super loose off of 4 here on those cold tires. That opened up the outside door for Mark Whitley. He was going to be in the prime position to make the opportunity to get to the lead, so I can understand the frustration on the radio for that yellow.
Well, gonna have another chance to fight for that lead position on this restart, and this is kind of the scare of getting into yellows breeding yellows, on the fact that this is now, like we said, crunch time on making sure you get the best positioning before the stage yellow comes out at the end of lap 60, or if the yellow happens between the lap of 55 to 60, that will also count as our stage. Only the top 10 getting bonus points. Everyone's marching forward, and they're hoping for the big moves so far. Well, with us being under our second caution of the day, gives us time to give some shout outs to the amazing sponsors that help out the ISRC Truck Series. Starting things off with Larry Art Productions. Larry Art Productions has become the title sponsor for Season 5. We thank Larry so much, who's been a race sponsor, a team sponsor, as well as been helping out the league in so many different variety of ways. If you would like to go check out Larry Art Productions, it's a variety channel on YouTube with plenty of great content, from reviews to comedy skits. Go check out Larry Art Productions today to get your entertainment on YouTube. As well, I want to give a huge shout out to also our White Flag sponsor, who's also helped out throughout the past couple of seasons, the Lap Traffic Podcast. If you want daily memes, NASCAR related, and multiple posts, go over to the_laugh_lap today on Instagram. And to finish things off as well, we'd like to thank our qualifying sponsor, being Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios. If you'd like to go find yourself a studio that can give you personal and great quality tattoos, or if you'd like to just get prints, paintings, stickers, and more, go to Orchid Moon Tattoo Studios on Instagram. Thank you to our sponsors. Zach, about to get stacked up and ready to go. Man, what have you seen so far in these first 48 laps that's been a surprise, or something that you're kind of been just seeing and were expecting to see?
Well, the one thing that I've been surprised to see how good the bottom has worked. I mean, I thought coming in tonight, there's no way that the line that Cochran and multiple other drivers are making work would be that fast. I mean, I've seen it happen here in the past, but again, just with this truck, I felt like the momentum-based style racing keeping it around the outside would just be the preferred way to go. But seems like the 2 has figured something out, and he's been very strong. And I mean, even this time, look, electing to take the bottom side. Normally, in my opinion, normally when you come to New Hampshire, you see that leader take the outside. That's got a lot of confidence in that 2 to take the bottom.
And also, with being the lead driver, you have control of when to take off in the restart zone. You can take off immediately once you hit the restart box, or you can wait and delay it until the very end. Danny Cochran's been taking off immediately in the beginning portions. Will he delay it here to try to change things up with these drivers? Well, to find out, it's going to be the 2, Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, as well as Nick Crawford, John Forbes, Trenton Jump, going to be your top 5. Christopher Norris, Joshua Kanata, Ollie Fonseca, Ryan Bird, and Malik Kuntz going to be your top 10 in the field. We're about to get 11 laps to find out who's going to take the stage win and get those bonus points, and the lap 60 is the number we're looking for. But can we get back to green flag racing? Let's find out. Pace cars about to pull into pit road, and the Cody Epic Magic Mile 160 is back to being underway. Danny Cochran gets the better launch, a little bit of a delayed start, and allowed to fully clear over Mark Whitley.
Great start there, and usually see the leader jump out to a little bit bigger lead, but still did a good job to clear him, and that's the key. But here drops it low here on the exit 2. Will that work from his Mark Whitley into the outside wall there, Sam? And that's going to lose him some momentum, as is Nick Crawford fighting off the drivers from behind.
And there were a few drivers that were bouncing off the wall, and no, John Forbes and Trent Jump make contact to go to the outside wall.
John Forbes there, unfortunately getting, it seems like, a little bit loose on entry there from Jump. Just got a little bit deep in, washed up into the 11. And, oh, man, that's unfortunate for Forbes, who's missed out the past few weeks. He does not want to see that happening there for himself.
And for Trenton Jump, that is not a feeling that he wants to carry over after last week, making contact between himself and Nick Crawford late at Darlington. Kind of a similar situation of getting a little bit overzealous on the entry, tapping and taking a driver with you, and the 46, obviously, not the way that you want to see an incident go down. And here's what the aggression happened between these 2 drivers.
We're going to see it right here, stacked up behind Nick Crawford, and you see in the entry, had to jab the brake. And when he jabbed that brake, it just got tight, pushed the nose and up into the 11. And unfortunately for Forbes, I mean, he's just up there on the outer groove and really nothing for him to do but except get spun out. But looking at both trucks, they're both relatively clean. Forbes comes out with a little bit more damage on the rear end, but both of them front end wise seem pretty clean as we get a second shot at it.
And I think that's the big thing that you noted on jabbing the brake, how much that truly can influence a car and one of these trucks when you're in the corner.
It really can. I mean, either it's going to shift the balance one way or the other. You only got 2 ways it can go. It can go forwards or rearwards. That seemed like it shifted the balance to almost locking up the fronts to where it pushed the front tires. So it didn't really want to over-rotate. It seemed like more that truck just didn't want to turn, and that's just the nose pushed up into him. And sometimes even, when you jab the brake like that, it can just really upset those front tires and overheat them and cause them not to grip. So unfortunately for Jump, he made the mistake, got into Forbes, and now both of them lost tons of track positions and tons of points, more importantly, for the 11.
Now going to be all the way back in 28th position, 27th for Trenton Jump. They're going to fight their way through the field, or do you try some other strategies that can get you back out on track and get you up front? Such as, if we get another quick yellow, coming to pit road, take 4 tires and fuel, that you might want to think about. Maybe just staying out there and let the rest of the field coming to pit roads. Potentially might be thinking about coming into pit road. So there's still some major strategy moves that can be made as we get past the 1/3 mark of this race.
There really could. I mean, if I am Trenton Jump or John Forbes personally, I'd get all my stuff done now, all my damage done, everything like that. Get some tires, get some fuel, and then stay out when that stage break does come. But right now, you just need to kind of put along and just don't go a lap down. That's really got to be the biggest goal for them, and try to gain the track position back that way.
Well, we got 7 laps to figure out who's going to get the stage points. Stage break at the end of lap 60. And the 2, Danny Cochran and Mark Whitley, will they survive another restart into the restart zone? Very delayed launch for the 2, but he still is able to clear Mark Whitley, as it's going to be the 2, the 77, roaring into turn number 1.
Able to clear him, but still Mark Whitley almost able to time that. And that's what you don't want to see if you're Danny Cochran, is that 77. Time it and stay to your outside. That would be the worst case scenarios. Now side by side for second is Nick Crawford, got a great run off too.
Got a great launch out of turn 2. Rest of the field able to stay as one, but side by side for that second place position. Saw most some slight contact, rubbing against one another. Exit the corner though goes to the 77 of Mark Whitley as he's able to fully clear for second position. As everyone else single filing out, and for Danny Cochran, hoping to just pull away from the rest of the field.
That's what he wants to see for sure, Sam. He wants to build the points up. He's had such a tough season up to this point. 10 bonus points and a stage victory. Huge for that team. That's all we have to say for that. Is Kanata here trying to make the pass on Bird, and those two really gaining some great track position from that Trenton jump from Forbes incident.
Yeah, Ryan Bird as well as Millie Kuntz have been moving forward and trying to gain every spot possible for the both of them. And currently right now, another driver who's moving up, but yellow flag's going to strike as drivers get the yellow flag thrown, and a little bit of confusion, I think, over the... And actually, confusion on the admin's part. They thought that was going to be the stage at lap 55, so that might be it for the stage with that yellow flag coming out.
Well, that's a little confusion for sure, Sam, and that right there, I think, helps guys like John Forbes and Trenton Jump, who just pitted a few laps ago. I mean, if you're them, you got to stay out.
Yeah, but I think the one thing that hurts them is, I know for Trenton Jump, he didn't take tires, nor do I think the 11 of John Forbes took tires, so they're not sure on how this is going to change out for the both of them. And for this field, now that they've only ran like 10 laps, it looks like, of green flag running on these tires, some of them might not even think about coming into pit road.
They very well might. I mean, there's a lot of decisions to be made. I think you could have a lot of split decisions, even drivers who hadn't came to pit road yet. I mean, they could very well stay out and just try to, ride this wave of cautions maybe and try to hold that position. But I think your leaders, you got to come to pit road here. And Mark Whitley staying out.
Mark Whitley, very late change in movement, and he'll stay out, not wanting to give up track position. But Danny Cochran, our stage winner, does come into pit road. Admins have an out, so that will count as the stage break, even though it was 5 laps earlier. So your stage top 10 drivers going to be Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, as well as Nick Crawford, your top 3. Christopher Norris gets 4th, Joshua Kanata 5th, 6th goes to Ryan Bird, Malik Kuntz 7th, 8th Aldi Fonseca, 9th goes to Ryan Bird, and GT Rizari finishing out your top 10 of stage finishers. But there is a pretty large group of drivers that I was not expecting staying out or going with gutsy calls of just 2 tires, as Danny Cochran and many of others fall down to 8th and 9th position as the field leaves pit road.
Ooh, this just got spicy here, Sam. Ryan Bird, 2 tires for himself. So, liking the calls made from all around, this is going to really shake this race up now.
And there might be a little bit of pressure on Danny Cochran on how this run's going to go now, as we get our driver into the waiting room and see if we can pull up our stage winner after pit stops have concluded. And let's see if we can queue up the 2 machine. Danny Cochran, it's Sam and Zach with the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you, boys.
Well, you take the stage, not the way we expected the stage to yellow to come out, but you can still get it done. Man, how are you feeling with this truck out there on track?
Well, I made a little boo-boo on pit road there. I left the thing in neutral when I went to pull out of the box, so that cost me a spot. Feeling pretty good, man. I think we've got a line down that I have not seen many people able to run the same one. Mark's kind of making it work on the long run, but I still feel like we have the better truck overall. I think as long as we can navigate this traffic and get back around Crawford, I think we have a good shot here.
Well, we're excited to see how you're going to run Danny a little bit of quicker, a little caution than expected. So we'll send you back to Larson time line, but good luck here tonight.
Thanks, guys.
So that will be your stage winner, as it was the Team Watson Racing Setups.com being your stage sponsor. Thanks so much, Team Watson Racing Setups, for also helping out with setups at road courses that the trucks traditionally don't go to. Mark Whitley, Ryan Ferraro are going to be on older tires. How is this launch going to take off for themselves? Let's find out. Into the restart zone, and we are green for the Cody Epic Magic Mile 160. No more yellows for hoping will come out, but the drivers know anything is possible here tonight. No more stages, and they're 3 wide, battling for that of 8th place.
Look at the aggression here, Sam. Everybody willing to risk it. They're just fanning out down the back straightaway, as everybody's on different strategies, and there's a truck even wrecking back there.
truck going to be wrecking further on back, but they're able to continue to keep it green for now. That's the 6 of Justin Smith. No oncoming traffic, so we'll keep it green. The rest of the field, everyone from 6th on back, still fanning out. Major passes being done, and it's the 2 of Danny Cochran forcing it 3 wide, but it's Ryan Ferraro, Nick Crawford slipping and sliding. They keep it straight. Rest of the field trying to hold up, and they somehow keep it green. And what a save by the drivers that were caught up in that one.
Oh man, we have a 5 wide moment down the back straightaway there for a moment. Now Kanata going to be able to try to gather it up, and that was all the checkup from what was happening forward with the contact between Nick Crawford and Ferraro. Man, oh man, this is shooking up the field here, and somehow we've stayed green.
Another one of the drivers caught up in that mess that went down between Ryan Ferraro and Nick Crawford. Blake Hoppy falling all the way down to 27th position. Lost plenty of time that he was hoping not to lose, as Ollie Fonseca and the 34 as, oh no, there goes the 7. Cody Smith, hard impact in the inside wall, but that's off into the grass. We continue to stay green as the chaos just rains down after our stage is done.
That it was right there, man. I tell you what, that is a lot of chaos raining down, and a few drivers there hoping maybe that yellow would have came out, but luckily for them, we stay green, and now everybody continuing to battle. Forbes trying to make his rebound after staying out here. I love this call that was made by him, and with that early stage, this has really helped him.
It certainly has helped him, but he's being pressured. One of the drivers that took 2 tires, being Kyle Rochelle, trying to bounce it to the inside lane. Other drivers just trying to hold on the best that they can. The one that made the pit stop and has made their way forward the cleanest, Danny Cochran. I mean, by cleanest, he did have to make some little bit of bumps here or there, but up to 3rd place is the 2 machine.
Excellent job by Danny there to move his way through the field, and you know, he's starting to march his way up there. We'll see how quickly he can gain on Cody Reed and Mark Whitley, who, I mean, have separated themselves by almost a 1.5 seconds over the rest of his field. So we'll see if the new tires really start to have an effect, but we did have a lot of caution laps, so I expect those tires up front to hold on pretty well.
They're trying to hold steady the best that they can as this field, no more stage racing. It's all about who's going to get the win at the end of the day. And Mark Whitley hoping to get a 2nd win if possible. Cody Reed in 2nd place, trying to get his 1st win of season 5 and also get his 2nd sponsored race win. He got it done last season at Watkins Glen, which was his 1st ISRC Truck Series win. That's 25 so for the Magic. Danny Cochran on the other foot hasn't won since he won the championship back in season 3 of Phoenix. A little bit of a different racetrack than here in New Hampshire, but there's slight aspects that you can take away, and the 2 is looking fast with the fresher tires.
He is marching up here, Sam, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him holding the back bumper of that 25, entering 1, maybe even going into 3 next time. So you can just see the speed that's coming out of this too. It's just looking very, very good as he's closing in, but he's flirting with disaster a few times. He's gotten close to that wall. He can't make a mistake. That could very easily end his night, as we've seen so far. He's been looking to get back into victory lane. This very well could be his chance to ride on board and get to see this awkward line that these guys are running.
And watching the wheel, you can see the inputs of how aggressive they've been snapping back and forward to keep this truck at the maximum speed, but also making sure you don't loop it off the exit of the corner. Really putting a lot of wheel input, but once he touches the apron, you can see he has to really work that wheel, which Danny Cochran, well known for racing on the dirt here on iRacing, so he's always got those quick hands ready to save this truck.
Dirt will definitely help those reaction times of saving that race car, that's for sure, and being able to work on that fine edge. So that's definitely a trait he can carry over, but seems like he's caught Reed. It's gotten tough. I mean, we'll see how well he can make this happen here, as he's had the opening on this bottom where he's really been wanting to run. But right now, those older tires up front, they're hanging on, and I think they're going to hang on for a good bit here, as there's 3 wide action farther back there.
For 7th place, Malik Kuntz, John Forbes, and Nick Crawford. Going to be 3 wide. They drop it down to 2. Malik Kuntz and John Forbes going to be side by side. Nick Crawford trying to rebound after being caught up with that mess between himself and Ryan Ferraro. Was on the tail end of Danny Cochran as they were marching through the field, but had to lose over 8 spots. Said Force done a great job recovering, and John Forbes with the gutsy call, trying to stay up front after his mishap with Trenton Jump. And currently, both those drivers inside the top 10, even with the mishaps that they've had.
Yeah, they are. They're inside that top 10, and it's looking good. Malik Kuntz once again trying to finish out and have another strong run here tonight, but The big thing exiting out of that lap 55 where we got that stage yellow thrown, that's setting us up for 95 laps of this race. They can go about 70 to 72 laps on a tank of fuel. So they will, if we stay green here, have to stop for a green flag stop. That's going to be a huge decision they're going to have to make. But at some point, we will have to stop for this race.
And that stop can be so crucial. Drivers, they were telling me during the practice that you could win or lose the race if there is a green flag pit stop because of the off-axis road you have to take to get back on the racing surface. A lot of drivers are concerned that you could get an unsafe exit that could cause you to lose this race here tonight. As this fantastic battle for seventh position continues to rage on, we do have an update for Cody Smith. We saw him completely looped off the exit of turn 2, heavy damage. The 7 is called in a night, and he has already left the session as the pass for 7th goes to Malik Coates and Nick Crawford to the outside, trying to get by the 11, and what a run they just have with those pressure tires.
Through the center of the corner, that's where you saw the speed difference for the tires, was they would have really charged on the exit. Get right to the back bumper, that 98 ahead of him. And I think if Crawford didn't have the 98 ahead of him, he would have made this pass a little bit quicker, but he's been kind of checked up there a little bit, like a little loose there, turning down in front of his teammate of the 11, and that was close. But now Fonseca, he's going to look to the inside possibility of this 11, but just think otherwise here heading to 1.
I'm looking at some of the times drivers are putting down. Danny Cochran was blitzing his way forward, but for those that were patient, such as Nick Crawford, Trent Jump, seeing here Ollie Fonseca trying to just smoothly make these passes going forward with this tires that they have, I think those that are being more patient right now could be having the major advantage over the 2 machine if Danny Cochran finds any way of losing pace. As Nick Crawford has a little bit of a scare, the 24 holding off the 11 very well off the exit of turn 4. Lee Coates can't defend Nick Crawford, just too fast.
Not for too long. We'll see, can you get the run off the exit of 2? We'll be able to hold station for now and just play that little bit of a nuisance to the outside of the 74, but in the 3 and 4, can you get the job done? This what makes passing so tough here is you love having that inside line. It rolls really good, but you want to have to be able to go out towards the wall. Luckily, he clears the 98 and is up to that 7th position now, looking forward to go run down Kyle or Rochelle. But great job by Nick Crawford recovering after that incident, but still has lost a ton of time to the group up ahead.
As we bounce up to the lead, Danny Cochran made the pass on Cody Reed, now is setting up the pass to take the lead spot. Winner of our stage was the number 2, and he is trying to keep it steady. Marched his way forward and down to the apron, almost collision off the exit. The 77 of Mark Whitley, where he's been the most dominant in every race that he's won. The 77 has the history books of the most wins in the history of the ISRC and all the seasons that have been ran. But it's when he's in clean air, the 77s can be so strong and hard to pass. But luckily, Danny's got the tires, and the 2 looks down the speed on the entry of turn 3.
See, can he get it done here in 3 and 4? Turn 2 has been his strength. He is really able to turn up off of 2 and carry great runs off of there. But this time off of 4, able to do another similar that he's able to do off of 2 and stay alongside. But they're going to touch doors here down to the entry. Mark Whitley.
Oh, no! He hooked the 2! Danny gets hooked! And just like that, a little bit of Robbins racing and dumping the 2 machine away.
Oh, man, Sam, this one is going to be a highly debated wreck right here, in my opinion. And ooh, I mean, that was hard, tough racing, but yeah, I think Danny Cochran is going to be a little upset about that one, maybe. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, it goes both ways here.
I mean, at the same notion, Danny flew into this corner, and as we see the outside spot, I mean, right now you're seeing them side by side. Danny's got the better speed, but he's going with a more shallow entry. He's got to slow down. But Zach, I think the 2 might have carried too much speed and might have hooked himself off the corner with how close they were, because Mark right now is holding the seam, and the 2 just simply drifts up.
It definitely does seem that way from looking at it here in this slow motion. I mean, it's just very tight racing. That's, if anything, that's a racing ordeal. But I mean, if you're Danny Cochran, you're definitely going to be upset. It's hard to tell a lot of times when you're inside the car, and especially how much damage maybe he received from this. But we'll see here from inside the car and see exactly how this worked out. But I don't even think he needed to be aggressive here on the entry to get the pass done. I felt like the exit was where he was really working well with the exit of a 2, but just tried to get in here deep and maybe try to, push that 77 up the racetrack a little bit. But just unfortunately, it was a hook, and you
I
can
mean,
see the nose pushing.
yeah, I mean, he gets hooked. I mean, he's trying to turn it in, but just carried too much speed, wasn't able to slow down, thought maybe the contact of rubbing against one another could have helped scrub off some of that momentum. Wasn't able to. And it's going to give some more damage to the 2 machine as he's going to be sent basically to the end of the line. Damage repairs for Danny Cochran still in pit road. And that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. We talked about how Danny Cochran has had terrible luck this season. He's only had 2 races this season where he's finished inside the top 20. And last week was his first time finishing in the top 5, and it felt like months for himself. And now he's going to have to fight his way through the field once again, which is looking to be terrifying here tonight.
He's really gonna have to fight hard, Sam. I mean, he's got a good bit of left front damage, and that nose is not the greatest. But the speed he's shown here tonight, I wouldn't be surprised to see him back up in the mix at some point. I don't know if fighting for a win, but maybe fighting to get some decent points out of the night. But still, I mean, it's been just ever since that championship a turmoil for him, just of not being able to get back to victory lane and being so close so many times.
And now the field going to be able to reset. Everyone taking 4 tires and fuel. For the drivers that took just 2 tires, that being Ryan Bird and that of Kyle Rochelle. Major gains for the both of them, able to move forward in track position. And I gotta say, Zach, moving forward, some other drivers might be thinking about the 2-tire stop if we get late into the run.
They very well could. I mean, those 2 tires looked very, very strong there, Sam. I was very impressed to see how well they worked. And we could see that definitely become a strategy at some point. So I think drivers need to note that down in their notebook saying, hey, that seemed to work for those 2. Can we implement that maybe in our strategy some point here tonight? And it's a good bit of time advantage you gain by taking those 2. So, I mean, very well, if we get a caution late, you could see some drivers definitely attempting that strategy.
Well, the drivers ready to get back to green flag action. Mark Whitley, Ryan Bird going to be your front 2. And it's Trent Jump, Cody Reed, Nick Crawford, Kyle Rochelle, Malik Coates, Ollie Fonseca, Christopher Norris, and Joshua Kanata, your top 10 drivers that have been on the move. Mason Cassidy, Matt Uprook, up 11 and 12 positions. But our biggest mover of the night, Kyle Rochelle, up 15 spots. Biggest loser, I have to give it to Danny Cochran at this current moment. He's been coming into pit road trying to get damage repair done. There just hasn't been a lot of time to get those repairs finished up. He's going to have to try to get moving through this field. The 2 wants to get a top 5, let alone a top 10 finish. Fit to that of the 77-46, ready to get rolling as we are watching the Cody's epic Magic Mile 160 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Pace car is off and into the restart zone. Mark Whitley guns it immediately, and as well for Cody, the 25's almost clear for second.
Great jump for Reed there for sure on that outside groove, and he does clear for that second spot. So takes over. There's Ryan Bird now under threat as Trenton Jump. He's made his way back up in here. So some recovery drives are in now, Sam.
As drivers fanning out, where do you want to go? Third place battle between Nick Crawford and Ryan Bird. Also, Kyle Rochelle, Nick Crawford, our pole sitter, has had some up and down moments here tonight. Well, yeah, he's watching the battle in between the 49 and the 46. Trent Jump, looking sneaky quick, is the 46. He could be a driver, really, you could circle up and say, watch out for later on in this run. Now here comes other driver, GT Rosari, trying to make the pass to go forward. As he's dealing with Christopher Norris and others as John Force bounces it, but the wrecking behind. Hard contact for Blake Hoppy and others, and that brings out the yellow.
Oh, man, multiple drivers there sideways off of 2, and it wasn't just that group, the group up ahead of them that we were watching at first. They were all over the place. There was some big stack ups coming off of 2, and I think a few drivers definitely were having their hands full for sure as the yellow comes out, and we continue some of this simple mistakes here that the Magic Mile can create with just putting the power down and spinning these trucks out.
And again, just getting to use up these tires, cold tires on the restarts, gonna be tough. And drivers gonna be getting loose, spinning around, and watching the 31 here in the red, already drifting it through the corner as he's coming off the exit of the corner, and the over trying his best to stay out of trouble. It's the 4 that gets sent to the outside wall, and that's the major damage that goes down.
Yeah, Halsey just, I mean, heavy collision for him to the outside wall, and just that's where the multiple drivers came into it. Is Hoppy there trying to get his stuff gathered up on the inside, but like you said, Halsey was the one that really took the brunt of that. It was just hard collision to the outside wall, and you can see out the rear end. That's the smoke coming out. That is engine damage, and most likely night over for the 14.
And driver who had the biggest woe through all that contact, Danny Cochran, who was in the mix, had to make some evasive maneuvers to get through that incident. But as we are 85 laps in, another caution in the books, we're going to take our first commercial break of the evening. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining with us. Monday night, ISRC Larry Productions Truck Series action, race number 7. It's been a handful as the Cody's epic Magic Mile 160 been putting on a show, but who can get the revenge? Who's going to get the win? We'll find out right after this.
They're 5 wide behind her pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work. They make it last. Bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at it. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another.
Turning, driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked! They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no! The 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've just been given the 1 to go marker, and it's up front. Mark Whitley, Cody Reed going to be out, and no one came into pit road in our top 20, but popping off on fuel. Ryan Ferraro, Mark Morales deeper in the field, as well as Blake Hoppy getting some damage repairs. You're watching the ISRC Larry Productions Truck Series, race number 7, the Cody's epic Magic Mile 160 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We've had plenty of cautions, but the drivers understand this could still be a long night, and track position is key. Pace car pulls off. Let's get back to green flag racing as lap 88 is underway. Mark Whitley takes off, and Cody Reed nowhere to go. They stack on the inside lane.
3 wide here, maybe from that second row as Chinton Jump getting aggressive as Reed just going to drive it in there and clear himself across the 49's noses. Now Jump, he's the big advantage taker there from that second row, and now going to be fighting for second.
Fighting for second, and now the 49's also got to be careful as Trenton Jump wants to get moving, get clear of Cody Reed, set the mark to get by Mark Whitley, as Whitley hoping to become the first driver this season to win 2 races and make it back-to-back for season 5. As the 77 looking clean, as the battle for second continues to rage on.
Definitely is raging on, as they would say, and Jump driving through the center to clear on the 25, but the crossover is in. The 25 to the inside down the back straightaway, and they're wrecking farther back. It looks like Irizarry and Gaudio involved in this one.
It's a pile up as drivers continue to try to slow down, but not able to. Over 8 drivers clipped in this one. It all started to look to be around GT Irizarry. Drivers in the middle of the field, just the small little adjustments in. Some drivers getting loose, others weren't, and it brings out a big one for further off in the field.
It is carnage rolling in here at New Hampshire, and Not surprised. The later we get in this race, the more drivers are willing to take risk. The more risk you take, the more you're going to feel that pain that is here in New Hampshire, spinning out off the exits of these corners. Is the 3 Gaudio, unfortunately, just couldn't put the power down off of 2. And I mean, it just, you're going to see here on this incident, we get the instant replay up here. That it's just a pile up on the back straightaway from there, from 2 drivers just coming together from a driver making a simple mistake.
And once these drivers got into one another, there's a few big names caught up in this one. Danny Cochran getting a couple of dings into this mess. And one driver that got through was actually going to Blake Hoppy. As you see here, this is the catalyst of this major wreck. The 14 and the 3 gets loose as Anthony Gaudio in the 3. And as he clips back up, the rest of the field trying to slow down, not able to. And 31 blitzing his way through that accident and able to avoid any more carnage.
That was wild. That was so close. A few others almost come together there at the end, but let's see here, Martin Morales, as he gets involved in this one, just up ahead of him. You can see the smoke happening and just no real time to react there for Martin. It's just a checkup and a pile up here down the middle of the backstretch.
I mean, even if he slammed on the brakes, he was just going to slide into that wreck. So like you said, it just happened so quick. And in a blink of an eye, major contact and damage for about 8 drivers in the field. Ryan Ferraro was given required damage. Luckily, it wasn't too bad to where his race is done. Such like that of Austin Halsey, who's dealing with the blown engine from the wreck previous to this. But there are drivers from 18th position down to 26th place that had to come into pit road, get damage repairs, and some are still in pit road at this current time.
Lots of drivers using this time to their advantage to get that work done on those trucks, but we'll see how much of an advantage it will be for them. But I tell you what, this race keeps going restart after restart of this. You're going to see more risks taken, just like Trenton Jump did there down the one. I mean, he took a big risk. He was restarting in that bottom or the second row on the inside, and I mean, he just dove to the inside of Cody Reed, and that really allowed him to push Reed up into and past that 49. That allowed him to hold on to that position. So aggressive stuff on the restart, and that's what you're going to see more and more of as we get farther along.
I'm curious for Cody Reed, how is he going to time this restart? Mark Whitley, known for always jumping the start as early as he can to just get as quickly up to speed as possible entering these corners. Will the 77 change it up on this restart, or could we see the 25 decide to just jump it and hope that he times this restart perfectly?
Well, that's the thing. You can time it. You definitely can. I mean, Mark Whitley's got a zone that he has to go in here, and if you time it right and it's early in the zone, you could be side by side door banging with him down in the 1. If you time it wrong though and jump the start, you could be heading to pit road with a penalty. So I think if you're Reed, you're gonna try to time it, but you're not gonna be willing to risk it to where you get a penalty. So we'll see how well he can make it work. Last time he restarted, it was not good. Did not get going at all. We'll see, can he do a little bit better on this second chance round.
Well, drivers inside of our top 16. Last time they came to pit road was 15 laps ago. Curious if we get 2 to 3 more cautions, if any of them will come into pit road for themselves. The drivers were given 4 sets of tires to work with here tonight, and they can technically make it on fuel if we get 2 to 3 more cautions. Everyone else who's just topped off on fuel, they're going to be very close to making it to the end of this race. So the gamemanship's out into the restart zone, and we're back to green flag action. The 77 once again taking off early and launching so far ahead that we're 3 wide for second place.
3 wide once again is Jump taking advantage of that good restart on the bottom and able to get it done, but it's going to be contact between him and Ryan Bird off of 2, and it's going to stack the whole field up 4 wide down the backstretch.
3 wide, 4 wide of contact, and there they go, down into the inside row as drivers trying to slow up, but coming back up to the field, drivers sideways in contact, and the yellow flag comes out. What could have been a much bigger wreck, luckily the field, it will slow down in time.
Oh man, this wreck right here, looking into it, is a little bit of impatience, I think, from some drivers trying to make it through this wreck with the stack up that happened off of 2. Is we'll get it queued up here on replay, but I think maybe the 11 of John Forbes going back and looking at it will say, man, I should have been a little bit more patient there. I mean, he comes out of it fine, but some other drivers around him definitely getting the short end of the stick with him trying to come up through there that fast.
Yeah, I mean, patience seems to be the key, and with the laps ticking away, the patience just goes away. You're gonna see they're stacked four wide, then they're squeezing back in. You're gonna see the 11 on the outside start to feel like he's getting boxed in. He sees an opening he's trying to go into, but Joshua Kanata's the only driver that can fit in that box in. Because of forcing the issue, drivers gonna be knocking into one another sideways. And at this moment, the yellow flag's not out. It's not until you see the 15 machine who's about to come into the picture when the contact hits the 46 and knocks the 46 back up into the track. That's what brings out the yellow.
That's exactly right, Sam. And so that caught a lot of drivers out. I mean, you see Christopher Norris there. He's on the inside slow due to that damage. And yeah, it's just a little bit of impatience shown by a few drivers out there. And I'm not surprised by it. The later we get into this race, the more and more maneuvers like that are going to be pulled, and there's going to be some upset people even here.
As the field is rolling here, Cody Reed, I mean, he hasn't been getting the best launches that he wants, but still a night for himself. Let's see if we can queue up the 25 machine. I'm not expecting drivers to hit pit road. We're going to wait until they come across the line, but I think Cody might have some interesting words on how this run could go. But again, we're not going to pull him up just in case these drivers make a late entry into pit road. I believe the 25 will be staying out, and he does. So let's see if we queue up that of the 25 machine of Cody Reed, get his thoughts on this race. Cody, it's Sam and Zach with the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you're sponsoring another race, and we're now seeing that you're up front. How's the confidence level in that 25 machine currently?
If we can get a green flag run, I think I would be pretty confident. There's a couple other scenarios that I'm playing out in my head that might work out for me. But if we keep going like this, I'm not too confident. I'm also terrified because I'm surrounded by like champions right now. So, yeah.
That's definitely the case you're in right now, Cody, surrounded by champions. But take us through these restarts. They've been pretty wild. I mean, how tough is it to restart there on the bottom side second?
It is terrible. I'm awful at restarting on the front row if I'm not the leader. And having Trenton behind me has been awful because every single time he tries to take a 3 wide going into 1, and I'm just holding on for dear life pretty much. But it's been okay so far. I think Mark's going to take the inside here, probably due to these past few restarts he started on the outside, probably to hold Trenton behind me, but now he's trying to hold Nick back, I think. So this might be an interesting restart. We're probably going to see some 3 wide for the lead here.
Well, Cody, we're hoping for the best here for yourself. Good luck on this restart. So we're going to send you back to your team, and hopefully we'll be talking to you later on tonight.
All right. Thank you. See you guys.
It's going to be the Snowy Desert Racing driver of Cody Reed, who also, with John Forbes, teamed up with Nick Crawford and Christopher Norris with alliance of Joshua Kanata. That team has been having a pretty solid night here this evening, and it's time to see how well they can survive. Zach, any thoughts from that talk with Cody before we get ourselves back to Green Flag Racing?
I think the interesting thing he said there, Sam, was Mark Whitley, electing to restart on the bottom this time. So maybe that is the thought process of, hey, Nick Crawford's up in 4th. I don't want to allow him maybe to get an easy second place finish here on the start. I think thinking about that's got to be something in the mind to set.
A little bit of gamemanship going on here tonight, as we've been seeing drivers moving up through the field. Mason Cassidy talked about him having some big moves. He's now inside of the top 10 in 7th place. A huge launch on the inside. Mark Whitley, once again, immediately when he hit the box, took off, and it helps Trenton jump to move ahead into 2nd immediately.
Trenton Jump was on it. I mean, he was able to really stay right connected to the back bumper, and that's what allowed him to propel himself up into 2nd, and that's a great job by him. Let's see how aggressive he is. We know Trenton Jump willing to send.
Trenton Jump, Season 2 champion, knows that he's willing to get aggressive at times when it really matters the most. In this 46 machine, wanting to get back into victory lane, hold off Mark Whitley at moments. 2nd place, got the teammates, Nick, that of Cody Reed, Nick Crawford. How are they going to play themselves here as we're 100 laps in, 50 to go, as another 1/3's down. We got 1/3 left of this race, and drivers in the middle of the field still getting quite aggressive. And in the middle of all that madness, Danny Cochran's up to 17th place.
Cochran really making the charge back through, and with these cautions, he's been able to fix that truck up pretty well. It's looking a lot better. We'll see if he's able to have the same speed. He's just got to have that patience. But 3 wide, here's a wrecking farther back. Ferraro, and major hit back there, you can see.
The 34 scattered in smoke as he got demolished. More damage collected off the exit of the corner, and he just looped it on his own and then finished off by the 26 to Tyler Horn.
Tough break there I mean, it's a scene we've seen replayed multiple times now here at New Hampshire, and it's just the exits of these corners, man, catching people out. I mean, Ferraro's just going to have a snap oversteer moment. The rear end's going to step out, and he's just not going to be able to catch it. And unfortunately, like you said, Sam, I mean, the Bird got by it there in the 49. But the 26, the Tyler Horn, he's going to catch it here. As you're going to see exactly what happened. A little bit loose there on the exit. You're just going to lose that rear end, and a bad night's going to turn to worse there for the 34.
Both those drivers are going to have some pretty dismal evenings, and Ryan Ferraro, 2 laps down, going to have to go back into pit road to get more damage repaired for himself. As the field's chasing back to the pace car. And Zach, what's interesting about this time into this yellow is the fact of drivers who wants to come into pit road. Some may think about making the pit stop, as our front 11 drivers are, yes, we've had plenty of cautions come out, but they've been out there for over 23 laps on this pair of this set. I wonder if anyone would think about coming into pit road deeper in the field just to take a set of tires and get that slight advantage.
I think right now you may have some takers farther back in the field, drivers getting some damage repaired, maybe farther in the field saying, okay, I'll take advantage of some tires maybe and better myself track position wise for later. But I think you're going to see a lot of people stay out here just for the reasoning of, we've seen earlier, I mean, Mark Whitley, Cody Reed, multiple drivers stayed out there on old tires, and it really prevailed. I mean, it just held on, and we got a caution before, and the next thing you know, everybody's pitting again together. So it's a scenario where I think you're going to want to stay out here unless your tires are very, very worn. I think we've had enough caution laps that these drivers really haven't got the most work out of the tires, so they're going to stay out here for a while. And from where they pitted last time, it was right on the edge and just outside, personally, the window of making it. And with these cautions laps, they're plenty good to make it on fuel now, in my opinion, even with a few overtime attempts. Now their concern is just going to be if they do want to come for tires here at some point. I think you could see that happen, but I don't think it's going to happen right now with just the low usage of tire wear we've had right here on these last few runs.
Well, the field is getting ready for the one to go to come out for the pace car once those lights go off on the pace machine. And Mark Whitley, Trenton Jump, going to be our front 2. Touched on it slightly on what an amazing launch Trenton Jump got to stay on the back bumper of Mark Whitley. I'm curious if Mark's now going to have to change up his strategy on this restart, because I think the 46 might have figured out the timing by just following the 77 now.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, so far, the most proficient restarter I've seen. I mean, you can't really judge the leader too much on a restart. It's you're in an easy scenario when you're that leader of just, having a good restart. But everybody from second on back, most proficient restarter I've seen all night has had to be this 46. I mean, he's been the guy that's been putting people under pressure under all of these restarts. If I'm Mark Whitley, I'm choosing this lane wisely. If you elect to go on the bottom and he gets the timing right and he gets this outside quarter panel, it could be rough. And it looks like Whitley will take the bottom as he feels confident with it. But if that timing just comes down to it, that 46 can have a good positioning here if he can time this restart right. But it's very difficult to do, especially if Mark Whitley is being smart and changing it up.
Well, we see the change up for these drivers. Mark Whitley won last week at Darlington, and back in week number 3, Trenton Jump winning at Auto Club. Could we see another driver get their second win of the season? We've had 6 races coming in tonight, 6 different winners, which is quite impressive to see on the competition level on how much it has been growing, and you never know who could win week in or week out. But Trenton Jump, Mark Whitley, 2 very aggressive competitors. Who is going to get it done? An inside lane, hoping for the best launch possible. Could Cody Reed keep up with 77? Will Trenton Jump get the better launch? They're side by side into the restart zone. Trenton Jump waiting, and Mark Whitley did change it up, and he'll keep the lead position.
I like that changeup. He made him wait. I mean, Trenton Jump was, on the door, being aggressive, and Whitley changes the restart, and it really helps him. But now Jump able to hold second for the time being, but Reed, good run through the bottom of 1 and 2, and able to stay alongside.
stays alongside for second place. Mark Whitley's trying to just pull away the best that he can. Nick Crawford, clean run behind him. Going to be seeing Kyle Rochelle, John Forbes marching side by side, and the rest of the field almost contact all the way through as we've got less than 50 laps to roll here this evening. Drivers are really testing their skills this evening, and a driver we haven't talked about at all tonight, Eric Stamp, the 53, going to be marching his way into our top 10.
Up into the mix for him, Sam. 16 positions gained from him, and Mason Cassidy up in seventh, 17 positions gained for him, and along with him, Kyle Rochelle, 15 positions gained. So I mean, we got tons of big movers through here, and they're getting aggressive right now in this pack.
Recognizing track position, this is your time to make the moves. Time is running out, and as long as you're not caught up in the wreck, you're most likely going to keep these spots as they're side by side all the way through from that 7th place on back. Mason Cassidy, Ollie Fonseca battling for 7th position. You're seeing on screen the battle between that of Christopher Norris and Eric Stamp. And others behind, also the 14 and the 3, who had their own type of a wreck earlier in this race, still running around one another, trying to crack the top 10.
It just seems to be that way sometimes in racing. When you have incidents with each other, you usually run around in the same positions as each other, so you tend to see each other a lot more, and that's where those problems can run into each other. But the 3 at Gaudio trying to hold on to that machine, unfortunately had that contact with the 14. Definitely didn't mean to do it. It was just a simple mistake, but definitely those two always seem to be right around each other. The stack up is real up there as everybody looking for positions, as Cassidy seems to be struggling right now in the 17 to hold on.
Another driver that's struggling, 2nd place, Trenton Jump, massive contact at the outside wall of the exit of turn 4. Able to somehow keep the momentum up, but the damage could ramp up quickly if he has another hard contact. But the 46 looks to be very strong off the exit of turn 2. Mark Whitley looks to be better on the exit of turn 4. And if these drivers start to get racy, that of Nick Crawford, Cody Reed, they can start getting into the mix here.
They really could get right into the mixes. I mean, everybody is willing to risk it right now. And I mean, personally, with how the racing's going on for the 9th, 10th position, the 11th to the 12th positions right now, I would not be surprised if we get a yellow here in the next few moments, because the racing back there in that mid-pack from 9th on back is just super, super aggressive right now. As Cassidy's still trying to hold back this 98. Just hasn't been able to do it yet, as the 98's been slowly marching his way around the outside.
Mason Cassidy kind of being the safety valve currently. He's done a great job marching his way forward to get to this point, but some drivers that qualified ahead of him finding that late speed run is contact into the 17. Willie Coates driving it down into the corner a little bit earlier than he thought. Slight brush, and they're going to stay side by side, but it's going to hurt the 17. He could have lost more positions. Christopher Norris, a slight wiggle off the exit, and now the battle's for 9.
Norris trying to go around the outside here, take the positioning, but Cassidy just deep into the corner, washes up into him. A little bit of contact. We'll see how Norris responds to that, but he's able to get a good enough run off the exit of 4 to pull back alongside. We'll see. There's been some close moments into the entry of these corners with this 17 and a few guys.
Just aggressive running, and the pressure is mounting as they continue to beat and bang off of one another, keeping this action quite entertaining from our point of view. And now with everyone single filing out, the next side-by-side competition would be for 13th place. Joshua Kanata, who was running inside of our top 10 for the majority of this early run. He is going straight to that Danny Cochran line of down to the apron off the exit.
He really is. He is utilizing it, man. And I mean, if you can make it work, hey, go down there and make the passes, whether or not, they would say. So great job on him as he does look to make the clearing maneuver off of 3. As you can see, Irizarry super loose there trying to make a pass on Eric Stamp, but now it's going to be Kanata trying to take advantage of that momentum loss. But it's going to be the 14 drives in the deep, and the 16 cut down like he's been doing to get the good drive off.
A little bit of contact also further ahead in that shot. It was between the drivers of Ollie Fonseca and Kyle Rochelle, beating and banging off one another. This is some good, hard-nosed, short track racing between these drivers, using up every little bit of these trucks. And what a surprise to see, Zach, with how much was talking over drivers coming into this race of it's too loose. There's no way to make this course survive. Everyone's beating and banging and somehow keeping it through the corners.
They really are, Sam. They're using each other up. They're doing everything in their power. They're racing all over the racetrack, too. and it's just making great racing for us to watch up here in the booth. I'm very surprised to see they have as much group available to them. It's probably good because they've all got pretty good talent underneath the wheel here too also.
It has been a pleasure to watch the evolution of these drivers. For some, it was a dumpster fire on their first season to evolving now to where these guys are keeping it under their feet and they are putting on a show as drivers have been maxing out on their speed, but one might have given up and lost all the grip he wanted. Trenton Jump, hard smack off of exit of turn 4. He has lost all of his momentum and might have lost all the grip that's underneath them because he gets passed by Cody. Trenton now under fire from Nick Crawford. The 46 needs a caution badly now.
That was an awkward moment off of 4. Didn't get into the wall, but I think he really jabbed the brake really hard because the momentum he lost and the amount of time he lost was gigantic. Because he luckily stays out of the wall, but the time loss was very, very detrimental to him now, and now going to be under attack from Nick Crawford.
Nick Crawford putting the pressure, pole sitter of the 74, just wanting to get a top 5 finish and showing that the championship curse is no longer a thing. As in all the past seasons, season 1 can be nullified as Vincent Soar, after winning his championship, left the league, but Trenton Jump, after he won in season 2, his season after that was horrendous as he couldn't find himself in a victory lane. Danny Cochran is still trying to beat that championship curse, and Nick Crawford trying to become the first champion to win a race after winning the championship in the previous season. The 74 has got some amazing speed here tonight. That's the long run where he's been struggling the most.
It really has been his struggle a little bit. It's just he's been a good 3rd to 4th place truck all night. He hasn't really shown that winning speed. He just wanted to have him and set on pole. That's Nick's amazing qualifier. I feel like he's one of the best out there, just putting 2 laps together when it comes down to crunch time. That's one of his best traits, and that's allows him to go out there and win championships and put you in a good position when you qualify well, but just not the race pace he needs here tonight. But anything is possible, man. You come down to a late race restart, you're not going to need that long run race pace. It's all going to come down to really where you place your truck.
A driver we talked to, Cody Reed, wanted a long green flag run, starting to get it right now, and the 25's got to be feeling the comfort zone of, hey, I'm in 2nd place. I'll take this as a win. After a run that you weren't sure what the 25 was going to have, he was feeling like maybe a top 5, top 10 was doable, but in 2nd, having some decent pace that's just slightly off of Mark Whitley's fastest times. This 25 looks like he can be a stable 2nd place finisher if this race continues to stay green. 30 laps to go, about to be 29 when they cross the line. And the drivers in the middle of the field still putting some dangerous feelings out there, Zach, that we could see an accident. To see the battle in between 9th position, Kyle Rochelle and Mason Cassidy.
Mason Cassidy continuing to be under fire from drivers, and I think this time he's trying to make the pass here on Kyle Rochelle, but Rochelle fighting around that outside. I mean, it seemed, normally that would be the done deal. If you're up top, I feel like you'd hold the position, but Cassidy able to clear him off of 2 with that awkward line that some of these guys have been running. They've been able to make very, very concise passes. So good job there by the 17 to move up to 9th, but Kyle Rochelle now going to be under attack. He's looking at Kanata. He's going way below the line.
Trying to go way below the line. Couldn't find that extra grip that he was hoping for, but a driver that kind of showed the 16. That lane, it was the 2 of Danny Cochran, now trying to make the pass for 12 over Eric Stamp. Stamp got to show some quick speed under that last restart, but starting to fall backwards to the 2, who was one of the more dominant drivers to start out the night. Danny Cochran thought he had the win in hand, but caught up in some wrecks between himself and Mark Whitley, has forced the 2 to deal with so much damage, but now he's back in 12th.
He wants to make this recovery drive, and he's quick, man. If he can get some, good laps underneath him here, close up to this group, make some concise passes, he could fight for a top 5 before this race is over. I mean, at 31.27 that last time by, that is top 3 pace right now. So we'll see what he can do, and that was even passing the truck. So this 2 still got tons of pace underneath it, even though it's got a good little bit of left front damage to it.
Up the damage, but luckily seeing the passing action. Joshua Kanata gets the better launch out of the corner and going to be almost fully clear over Kyle Rochelle, and Rochelle will just back off and hope for a better exit and go for a little bit of a switchback crossover move up the exit of turn 2, but Kanata clean run for himself, able to move forward. A little bit of a scare, though, through the center of the corner. Eric Stamp, GT Rossari, and as well Anthony Gaudio. They're almost going 3 wide back for 14th, 15th, and 16th. And Eric Stamp gives some contact. This back half of the field is getting very mixy late in the race.
It is that 3, the 14, the 53 here. All of them leaning on each other. Now even Moniz is going to come into the picture along with Martin Morales. So it's just a stack up really from the 14th position on back as the 53 did make contact with the 3 as he tries to scamper away. But it's Irizarry now trying to make the pass.
Irizarry feels like the grip drifting away for the 14. This is giving an opening for that of the 5 of Dakota Moniz. Mark Morales in the 1. Both have had not the nights they were hoping for, but positions could be easily grabbed here if we see the 14, the 53 make any more contact. They're squeezing off the exit of the corner. Dakota, I'm curious if he's willing to make a big move on the inside or just stay patient at this current moment.
That's a tough question to be made, but he's going to try to wrap that top. And you can be patient, but at the same time, I feel like you can get by this group and make time. You need to try to go do it if you can make more positions, because every single point is going to matter. But if you do get too caught up into this, we could see that yellow flag come out in this group right here.
This is a group to watch out for, but also a little bit of close racing to watch out for. Second place is not done and dusted. Thought Cody Reed was able to scamper away. Well, Trenton Jump bringing it right back in, the 46. Luckily, like you said, Zach didn't hit the wall, but lost so much time. The 46 at this moment has been running slightly faster than Reed. They're closing in on the 25.
That they are, is that 25 might be struggling right now just a teeny bit. I mean, it's pretty much matching lap times from that top 4 really group. I mean, they're all anywhere from a 31.3 to a 31.4, so pretty consistent from that front group, but everybody just fighting for every little bit of a hundredth to find here to make it to the end of this race.
How do you survive to make it to the end of this run as we are closing in to the final 20 laps of this race? And if a caution were to come out now, you'd expect a lot of drivers to come into pit road. And if everyone did top off and get some tires, what a dramatic flare the end of this race could be. Also, who would think about staying out if we don't get a caution and maybe in the next 5 laps or so? The timing is going to be so crucial on who would be willing to stay out or come into pit road.
It really will be, because right now we're running 31.47 up front from our race leader, Mark Whitley. His best lap during this race tonight was a 30.23. So if we see a caution, I think you see a busy pit road. But I think the thing that's going to be the most wild part is the mixed bag of strategies. You may have a few try to stay out, but I think the right side tire calls could be the ones that make the most surprise.
Staying in the battle for 5th place, John Forbes, Ollie Fonseca. They've been on top of one another, but there's not been a lot of movement going on between these two drivers. The biggest movement currently is for 16th place. That group of drivers, and driver goes around. It's the 14, and the caution flag comes out. GT brings out the yellow after contact between himself and another driver.
Tough ordeal there for GT's. He's had another incident here tonight, Sam, and this changes it up. We talked about strategies and what people are going to do. Well, it's time to see who's going to go to pit road, who's not, who's going to make the strategy calls for tires.
I mean, if you're deep in the field, maybe you stay out. If you're up front, I'd imagine your gutsy call is maybe to come into pit road. It really matters on what the leaders do. Do you follow what Mark Whitley is going to go into pit road for, or do you not? And based on what I'm seeing right now, everyone hitting pit road.
Everybody seems like they're hitting pit road, but what's the decision is we're going to see the replay here of what played out here, Sam. And it's like Irizarry just going to be going around after contact from Upbrook there, coming off of 2.
And they were right on top of one another, almost 3 wide at most times through this track. So I wasn't surprised to see that late incident come out with how aggressive they were driving for those positions in the middle mid-pack. And with the time of this yellow, everyone coming into pit road, this is go time. Who's going to take the strategy call? We saw some take 2 tires, and Ollie Fonseca with the 2-tire call. He's going to move up side by side, 3 wide for who's going to be getting second. It looks like Mark might have it, but Cody Reed was very close to having that gain. Mason Cassidy taking 2 tires for the 17. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun battle to watch. As Cody Reed's able to move forward, he'll take and move up to third. But again, I don't know if Cody got second or not. And I believe the 25 got that position.
I think he did. I think he did, man. So that's amazing for Reed there. And did Mark Whitley beat or no? I think he lost the position to
He did.
Cassidy.
He's back to fourth. But it looks like Cassidy might be slowing down. And yeah, Mark, he's going to be in fourth place. He's going to be on the outside.
Ooh. Interesting
boy.
stuff there, Sam. I tell you what, man. With Fonseca there on the 2 tires and Whitley in fourth, I mean, that might not be bad if Fonseca restarts on the outside. It just depends where he's going to decide to put his truck.
So everyone in the field, this is a scenario. Everyone is taking tires, but there are 4 that decided to take just 2 tires. That's going to be Ollie Fonseca, who's going to be leading this restart. Then you got Mason Cassidy, who also took just 2 tires. Then deeper in the field in 11th, Dakota Moniz took 2 tires. And in 16th, Tyler Dangler taking 2 tires. Everyone else, 4 tires in fuel. Actually, I take that back. Danny Cochran looking like he took 2 tires for the 2. He's in 8th place right now.
I like that call. I like it a lot. I mean, there's multiple things they can do with those 2 tires. So where they pit in the portions of that race before, all those drivers were good on fuel, especially with the amount of caution laps we've had. They could have not fueled this truck, especially we see that loose condition, you see a lot of times. They could have elected to not put fuel in the truck. That there is going to change the balance and actually shift the weight a little bit on that truck and make it actually a little bit tighter. So it'll help that drive off the corner for themselves. So we'll see what works here, Sam, and how it plays out. But right now, Fonseca taking the bottom side. This is actually not going to work out for Whitley as well as I thought.
This is the first time we've seen Whitley back in this deep in the, you could say deep, but back in the second row since the initial start of this race. The 77 has been up front in control for most of these restarts, and now going to be on the outside. It's going to be the tough spot to beat as Ollie Fonseca takes the inside groove. He's going to have Mason Cassidy with him as well. And those drivers, I want to think about doing a little bit of countdown help with one another. They're all going to be seeing what type of a launch they want. It's 24/17 in the same Discord channel. Let's see if they're going to be helping each other or not, as we're back to green flag action for the Cody's Epic Magic Mile 160. Ollie Fonseca almost clear in front of Cody Reed. Slight contact on the entry, and Mark Whitley will take the advantage. 77 going to be diving it down low. They're 3 wide for 4th place, but Ollie Fonseca having the lead, but Willie has Mark get slightly loose for second.
A little bit loose there for second place, and Mark Whitley going for it here. Is Fonseca good enough off of 2 to hold on to it? But Whitley just driving it in, almost going to take out Reed, but can he turn the truck down and get the run off the corner?
He's trying to get the back into the throttle sooner. Still side by side, but the wrecking behind. It's Blake Hoppy in the 31, spun around.
And just like this, a rash of yellows to come out, and that 2-tire strategy might not look too terrible. Ollie Fonseca fighting strong here for that early restart. Man, this is going to be a wild moment coming down to the end here between all these guys.
I mean, it's not over yet. There have been a few drivers. Do want to give a report on those that have called it a night. Cody Smith was the first one. Austin Halsey on the last yellow pulled it in and called it a night after getting his damage repairs. And Ryan Bird, the most recent, to call it an evening. 26th, 27th, 28th. We still have 23 drivers on the lead lap, but this is what brought out our most recent yellow. Watch out for the 31 machine. He was just trying to gas it up, and around he goes.
Just another same incident we've seen multiple times tonight. Just drivers getting loose off the exit and cold tires. That's no surprise to see something like that play out. So we'll see how it works out in this next restart, because they're only going to get colder now, Sam. So we might see that same condition play out worse. But Fonseca holding on to the lead after all that shook out. Reed holding on to second. Whitley up to third and jump up to fourth. And, was just, trying to figure out what the left side tire wear was, and getting word, not a lot of left side tire wear from the truck tonight. So I'm telling you, the call by Fonseca then might not be the worst one to take too.
No, not at all, because Danny Cochran, Mason Cassidy as well, able to move up. I mean, Cassidy didn't have the restart that he wanted, kind of got swamped, but Danny Cochran from 8th up to 5th on that restart. The race is not over yet, even though some of the scares, and he's going to be restarting most likely right behind, I think, Mark Whitley. He's going to be close to where he's lined up, but Will we see a second round between the 77 and the 2?
That's a good question also, Sam. I tell you, I mean, I didn't even formulate that through my mind. And what does Fonseca do? You know, now that Whitley's up to third, I think you're Fonseca here. I'm going to put Reed down in front of Whitley, and I'm going to restart up top and allow Trenton Jump to get in the mix there also. I think that just as a, myself as a driver, that's how I'd play it out in my brain. I'm very, very interested to see what Fonseca does make the decision on this next lap if we do go 1 to green, because it's going to be one that could make or break this situation if he elects to take the bottom and, Whitley's able to get by in the second. I think he's in trouble. But if Whitley gets held up, I think Fonseca can hold off for this.
Yeah, I mean, if you can somehow, as Oliver Fonseca, like I said, restart on the outside, and you get Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, and Trenton Jump, that trio is a chaotic trio that you never know what's going to blow up from them, because we've seen some massive wrecks, very aggressive driving, and the 24 and the 25, curious on how they're going to launch, and it looks like for Ollie, he might be picking the inside lane, which is a catastrophic kind of a pick that this happened last week.
It did. It's the exact same scenario played out where a driver elected to take a lane that we felt maybe wasn't the best, but at the same time, this is not the worst positioning. I mean, if he can get a good enough restart, his hope is they race side by side off of 2, and that allows him to get some breathing room. And we'll see. I mean, if Mark Whitley can take advantage and get that good run on the bottom like we've seen a few times some guys do, he needs to get clear for second. If that does, that puts him in the prime position to go win this race. But don't forget about Danny Cochran either. We've seen the speed that 2's had all night.
Here we go. Watch out. The restarts. It is going to be mixy. Who is going to survive is the key question to ask, because this is about to be some of the most chaotic racing at the end. 10 laps to go. We got overtime if it's needed. Ollie Fonseca, Cody Reed, can they hold off the faster drivers behind them? Let's find out as we're back to green flag action for the Cody's Epic Magic Mile 160. Mark Whitley got a fabulous launch. He's going to be side by side with Cody Reed, but Reed gets bumped. Trent Jump making the movement through the center.
That's the best thing to happen for Mark Whitley, is it stack up on the outside and really allow him to get position, but Reed's going to fight back, and Fonseca blocking down the back straightaway.
Almost 3 wide on the entry of the corner. Mark Whitley's going to have the advantage on the inside, but getting slightly loose, but he's got the better launch through the center. The 77 takes the lead position in just 1 lap, but they're wrecking behind. Oh no, it's a big one. It's a complete clog of the front stretch. Only our top 4 made it through. Everyone else has stopped on the front stretch.
Everybody involved in that one, and that one right there, I think Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran coming together, and this one's going to be an unfortunate incident to see because it just created a graveyard up here.
Oh, this is a mayhem of drivers. We got 5 already with required damage. Malik Kuntz, Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran, Kyle Rochelle, and Joshua Kanata caught up in this one. And it is just drivers trying to get everything at the end. And, I mean, Zach, it's hard to really put blame 100% on a driver, but they were so aggressive. It was bound to have a catastrophic ending at the end.
It was bound to happen, and I think, like you said, Sam, it's hard to put blame on a driver here. I think what the angle we're going to see is it was just the slightest of contact to the left rear to that 2, and it just took off when it did. I mean, look at it. It just went straight. I mean, there was nothing Danny Cochran could do. He was along for the ride once the 38 had just tapped him. And then from there, it is a complete log jam of just drivers trying to make it through. Look at Kanata getting clipped. I mean, he's doing a wheelie, sliding in, drifting as others, like it looks like Nick Crawford somehow scathed through it, but the 11 Forbes makes it through, but a lot of other drivers like Cassidy there caught up in this one.
A melee of drivers that try to get through the mess, and there were not many that were able to get through this one. And now most of the field's worst nightmare, Mark Whitley, back to the catbird seat of leading the restart, where he has always been the most dominant throughout the series of seasons 77 has ran. There's a reason why he's the most winningest driver. It's because he knows how to control on these restarts.
He really does. And I mean, what he did on that last restart was amazing. I mean, he was pretty much set in stone that he was going to get the lead. He was going to wreck or he was getting to the lead, and he made the pass stick. And what a job done by Mark Whitley there, and now controls it, like you said, Sam. And I tell you what, with him in control, this is going to be a scary sight for a lot of guys. And now they're just going to try to dispatch as fast as possible Ali Fonseca so that 77 doesn't get away.
And Cody Reed's got to be perfect on this restart to make sure that he can stay on the back bumper and force the issue on the entry. Mark Whitley has been so aggressive on the entry point on trying to make sure that he can maximize. And once he gets to the apex, that's when he just throttles back up and takes off. But a lot of drivers just haven't had that same confidence of just throwing the trucks down the inside and trusting it's going to stick.
They really haven't. A lot of drivers have not had that confidence, man. And oof, it's going to take confidence coming down to the end of this thing, and we'll see if anybody's willing to risk it. But it's going to be tough to beat the 77. I really have my ideals set in that it's going to be tough to get him done. So we'll see who can make a chance or a charge at it. But Fonseca, I mean, on 2 tires, what can he make out of his day here with 2 tire calls? So lots of strategies, but I think the 77 is going to be a tough one to beat.
Top 4, only drivers that look clean after the last melee that everyone was a part of in some fashion. And now it's down to who can beat Mark Whitley. Will it be Ali Fonseca, Cody Reed, Trenton Jump, or could someone who went through the junk field survive throughout the night? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series for the Cody's Epic Magic Mile 160 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Who's gonna win here in New Hampshire? Let's find out. Restart is underway. A decent launch for Ollie, but it still clogs everyone up. It's side by side for second as the 77 moves on.
He is out. Great restart from Mark Whitley, and it's gonna be the 25 Reed trying to clear that 24, and they're gonna be beating banging off a 2, and it's gonna be 3 wide.
3 wide for third place as Mark Whitley is able to just putter away. Trenton Jump now up to third, but Willie able to hold on. Nick Crawford might be beaten, battered, and bruised, but he wants the third position badly for the 74. He has been fighting at Klein all night long, but Mark Whitley crossed the line, making 4 laps to go here tonight as the Cody's Epic Magic Mile 160 looks to be in the hands of the 77. Can Cody Reed find the magic that's necessary, or will there be a yellow? Because if a yellow strikes now, we're going to overtime. And oh my goodness, a massive collision, and once again a melee in the back half of the field.
Head first into the outside wall is Nick Crawford, and it was contact between him and Ali Fonseca. And I mean, similar to what we've just seen with Danny Cochran and Christopher Norris. And what's weird, it's roles reversed, same teams, same, I mean, just wow, this is crazy, Sam.
A absolute junk field is building up here at New Hampshire. And I mean, we had this feeling, we knew that late in the race, if this race didn't stay green, that it was going to turn into kind of it ballooning out to yellow after yellow after yellow. And now we head into overtime, and this field, they've only got just a couple of more restarts before this race is done. And Cody Reed, who's in second place, all the pressure's on him to figure out this restart. As we take a look at this replay, what brought out the second biggest wreck of the night. And like you said, Zach, looked almost identical to the most previous one.
It really does. I mean, it really does. And roles reversed for the same teams. And it just seems like the 24 right there, I mean, just coming down maybe just a tiny bit. I mean, even the 74, from looking at it, he was a little bit lower than even the drivers ahead of him. It's so tough when you're racing side by side like that. You're trying to clear, and they just come together on the exit. Everybody's not willing to lift right now because they know what's on the line. And you can see just another thing. When it happens like that, you're going to have a huge traffic jam like that.
And drivers just trying to get through. I mean, even Trenton Jump got a little bit of a nick of that as he was actually getting loose in front of this field. And I mean, the liftoff by the 24 and the 74, just nowhere to go for any of these drivers. And here we go. Overtime attempt number 1. As we saw there, Dakota Moniz, just there's nothing you can do when you're in those situations.
There's really not. I mean, there's really just nowhere to go. I mean, yeah, the track's super wide, but when things stack up like that many trucks are involved in it, it's just pretty much survival at that point. And luckily, I mean, somewhat does, but still, it's just tough scenes that I have here in New Hampshire, but we'll re-rack them and get ready for another restart. But we'll see, can anybody make something happen here now with the 24 gone, back to the 5th position. This is a very, very interesting scenario.
And now we're kind of down with just 3 drivers that weren't caught up in any of those wrecks. I mean, Mark Whitley, Cody Reed, and Trent Jump. Jump got loose on his own, so technically he wasn't a part of that wreck, but John Forbes hoping to be a little bit of a stealer here late as the field is set up and ready to go. We are in overtime, ladies and gentlemen. Overtime works like this. We've got 2 laps to finish out this race. If we get a caution under the first lap before we get the white flag, we will then go into attempt number 2. But if we get the white flag, the race is official. It's all about who crosses the line first, and the gloves are off at that point. And still waiting for the big score lights to turn off. Zach, I mean, if you're in the mindset of Mark Whitley, what do you do here? Because we've seen the trend that it's usually take off immediately when he's going up against Cody Reed. But now that you know you only have just a couple of more restarts, do you change it up here late?
He could, especially if Reed restarting him with him so many times side by side now that he could change it up. But at the same time, it seems like we heard it from Reed in his interview. This is his weak spot. And if you can know your competition well enough, then you'll know that, hey, that's kind of like his weak point. I can kind of go whenever I want and make it easy. And the earlier you go in the box, the bigger chance you have to open up that gap also. So I think you'll still see him go pretty early, but he could change it up. I mean, it's always good to do that, but we'll see what Whitley does. But it's going to be tough to beat, man, because I tell you what, that control the restart, he gets clear, you're going to have to really have a Hail Mary play in your back pocket if you want to go take this win from him.
Are we going to see an intent and wreck, or driver's going to get a little bit more aggressive? I don't know how much more aggression there really is left in the tank for these drivers as we get ourselves prepared. Again, overtime attempt number 1. Who will be winning the Cody's Epic Magic Mile 160 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway? Let's find out. Into the restart zone, slightly delayed, but Cody Reed hoping to stay a little bit closer as he's going to be side by side between the 24 and the 11.
Another great start from our leader here, but can Reed clear for second? A good roll through the center for him. He's actually going to be all over the back bumper of Whitley coming off a 2, but he's loose and almost into the wall, but side by side for third with Forbes and Trenton Jump.
The field hoping that they can keep it together. If we get the white flag, this race turns official. Back half the field going to be 2-3 wide, but up front, it's Mark Whitley, Cody Reed, Trent Jump, and John Forbes to the white flag here tonight. It's the lap white flag. We only needed 1 overtime attempt. Here we go, Zach.
What does Reed do? Is he willing to ship it in there and make contact, or will he just build a slide back here in second? But a little loose off a 2. He may not be close enough now.
They're wrecking hard behind, but up front, Mark Whitley, he's got 2/10 to work with. Cody Reed needs the launch of a lifetime out of the exit of turn number 4. But Mark Whitley, clean exit. They're side by side for third, but the 77 will grab his 2nd win of the season.
Great job by Mark Whitley, able to get that 2nd victory in a row, and his season's turned around. He got that win and has looked like a changed driver coming into New Hampshire tonight. Reed with that 2nd place, another sponsored race, and he's right up front in the mix. And John Forbes just taking home that 3rd position, Sam, and that was contact between him and Jump there. That was early in the race. They raced to the line side by side.
And in 5th place, the 5 of Dakota Moniz with all the wrecks and carnage. The 5 kept himself clean and up front. But it's the 77, Mark Whitley, breaking the curse of having drivers a different winner at every race this season. The 7th race, well, give it to the 77 as he gets his 2nd of the season, 16th career win in the ISRC Truck Series. Mark Whitley gets to burn it down and have some fun, and as he is, we are going to step aside when we come back. It's the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3 and also a spotlight driver right after this when we come back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Season 5, race number 7 is in the books. The Cody's epic Magic Mile 160 had some drama flaring up at the end, but it was the 77 of Mark Whitley getting the win. The numbers just lined up, and he finds himself in a victory lane. Mark, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on the win and getting your second win of the season, being the first driver to do so. Man, how are you feeling after this one?
I feel pumped. Practice was a little up and down for me. It started out, this track's really comfortable for me. I'm always really like running here, but it seemed like I was about 2/10 off just running my normal pace. So I had to really sit there and figure something out in practice, and eventually did, and ran up front with Danny for most of the first half of the race, and then played a little strategy at the stage. We'd only had, 5-6 laps of green flag since we pitted last, so I decided to stay out, wanted the track position. I figured having the clean air would be good, and eventually I figured Danny would probably eventually get to us, but I was hoping by the time he did, his tires would have evened out, and looked like he was still a little bit faster than us on those newer tires, and I was just racing him as hard as I could because I knew, trying to let him use his stuff up, and then that, I don't know, we went down into one, and he sent it, he licked the stamp and sent it, and came up into me, and he got in my left front, and I couldn't really do anything at that point. He kind of just hooked himself across my nose. I hate it for him, especially me and him had a lot of good battles, and it just, never like to see that happen, but I told him, I can't give you the entire track. He went in there, overdrove it a little bit, and he kind of came up into me a little bit, and I think our cars are just hooked to that point, and it feels, never want to see a competitor get wrecked out early in a race like that, but can't just sit there and give them the entire track, so after that, it was just about trying to maintain our track position. Was really hoping it'd go green there. I think Nick said it best, if I'm in the lead with 20 to go, there's going to be a caution, so kind of getting used to it now. Was getting a little worried, didn't have a fast pit stop, and then with Ollie staying out, I was just I was really worried we weren't going to be able to get back in track position. Had a couple really good restarts, and thankfully the cautions fell the way they did when we made our moves, and we were able to get in the lead. And after that, it was just about hitting our marks. And that last restart, I went a little bit too easy, I think, in 1 and 2, and then Cody about ran me over because he just had such a better run. And thankfully, he got a little loose off too, gave me a little breathing room. And after that, it was just about hitting my marks and getting back to the checker flag.
Well, Mark, it was a great performance from you tonight, man, in the 77. The one thing I think it was awesome to watch up from the booth up here is the line choice, really. Take us through that, because it seemed like a lot of different lines out there being ran by drivers.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really like about this track. There's at least 2 or 3 very distinct lines, and really almost there's any kind of weird combinations of those 3 you could run and make time. I know running behind Danny, it seemed like I wasn't really able to run the line I wanted to. It was just kind of like, that car being right in your vision, you kind of can't hit the marks you want, and forced me to run a little bit different than I wanted to. And I think he got he was better on the long run because I couldn't really do what I wanted. And once we got out front, I was able to kind of run more of the line I wanted to, which is kind of what he was doing, was kind of going in low, kind of sweeping up a little bit, and then coming off, like trying to get a straight exit. But I know some guys are making time just kind of rolling the top of the middle lane, and this track is wide open. It's very difficult, but honestly, there's multi grooves. If you get it hooked up, driving style, whatever you want to do, there's multiple lanes. I know there was I've run a couple races here where you could almost get down. You could get down there on the apron through 3 and 4 and make time. So it really just, the track to me, it's really good. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it's it really brings out some good drivers, I think.
That it certainly does, Mark. An incredible race here tonight, even with the load of cautions that ballooned out at the end. But congratulations on the win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, big shout out Brantley over at Harpoon Design. I know the race ran a little long. He's got to go pick up his daughter from the airport, I think. So I'm glad he was able to stick around and spot the rest of the race. Check him out at harpoondesign.com. And he's informed me as of the other day that he has almost 2,000 paint schemes on Trading Paint. So you can definitely find something you probably you like that he's made already on there. So go check him out. And got a huge shout out to my other teammate John on the pit box. He made the call for 4 tires at the end. I was really thinking 2, but he called the 4 tires, and it was a right call in the end. So I appreciate him talking me out of some craziness. And shout out to you guys for putting on a great broadcast. I always love going back watching y'all. It's all my favorite broadcast I run with. So it should be fun to go back and watch. And I guess a final shout out to my family tuning in these broadcaster races because they always send me messages of encouragement whenever we don't do good, and congratulations whenever we do. So appreciate them always tuning in. And I guess for the league, I know it was kind of rough at the end. We had a really good run at the beginning. I think everybody just got kind of antsy toward the end of the race. Everybody was trying to take, just kind of like real life. I mean, comes down to the end of these races, your best chance to get spots is on a restart. So everybody goes a little crazy, but it's how it is. I know the league's great. We'll move on and hopefully have some more green flag racing next week.
We're hoping for that as well, Mark. Congratulations on your win. Enjoy celebrating it, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
That's the 77 of Mark Whitley getting it done here tonight. And from Victory Lane, let's go to second place to the driver we actually got to talk to for a little bit under racing. It's the 25 of Cody Reed. Cody, congratulations on second place with the roller coaster of a night that you had. Are you surprised you came away with second place at the end of the day?
Yeah, I ended up, in the first run, I was pretty quick. Definitely not like top 3 fast though, and then I got spun by a lapped car. So that was pretty rough. I felt like as soon as that caution happened, it just unleashed a whole flurry of cautions after that. But I'm thankful I didn't get much damage from that because everything kind of worked out after, when me, Mark, and a couple other guys stayed out. They gave me the track position I needed, and a caution came out right when I needed it to, so I could stay up there. And I was just able to stay up there pretty much on all race after that. Having to restart in front of Trenton that many times is terrifying. And he is definitely the scariest person in the league to have behind you. So, that many times having to restart up front with all those really, really aggressive guys, I definitely did not think I was going to finish that well, but I'm very happy I did. Wish it could have been first, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't first there, Cody. But we saw you get a little loose there, coming off a 2 on the white flag lap. You feel like if you were closer, you'd have maybe had a shot to maybe make some type of move down to 3 and 4 on Mark.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't even think I would have had to do that. If I could have got it to stuck coming out of 2 there, because I got a huge run, and I was talking to Mark like after the race about it, because he was kind of driving it easy, but then he saw that I got that run, and then he went. But if I had those those rear tires not slip out like that, I think I could have had a shot at him on the backstretch. Would have had the preferred line probably going in. I probably would have sent it in there. I didn't really want to like wreck anyone. But if I had to, if I was close enough on that last lap, I definitely would have moved him. But he just pulled away from me so much after that. But it was a good battle though.
Well, Cody, after tonight, we're now heading to Sonoma next week, on our second road course of the season. How are you feeling about going to a road course after your great performance here tonight?
I'm really looking forward to it. I've never really had a great finish to show how good I am at Sonoma. The first time we went, I just was not very good. And then the next time we went, I had an EOL before the race started, so I had to start from the back, but I drove all the way to 10th. So I want to see what it's like if I can actually start near the front, maybe have a shot at the win. So I'm definitely looking forward to next week.
Well, we can't wait to see how you're going to perform, Cody. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates. They were kind of hyping me up there at the end, especially Josh and Nick. They're pretty awesome. It was pretty bad luck for my whole team, though. It seems like every single one of us had bad luck at some point. We were all spun around some way or another. Glad it ended up well for John and everything. But yeah, big thanks to those guys. Big thanks to you guys for putting on a great show. Big thanks to the admins for putting the whole league thing together. And that's it.
Well, that is going to be your second place finisher here tonight, Cody Reed in the 25. Congratulations on this finish, and good luck next week.
All right, thank you.
Well, from second place, let's go down to third from Cody's teammate. It's going to be John Forbes in the 11. John, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. It's good to have you back out on track. Man, how are you feeling after missing the last couple of races to finally be back out on track? And what a race it was.
Yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster as it's been for me this season. I'm kind of surprised to be up here after how the end of the first stage went. But yeah, I just had some misfortune, but also a lot of luck tonight. So I'm glad to come back with a decent, strong finish. Obviously I want to get a win, but I'll absolutely take a top 3.
Well, John, you definitely did a great recovery drive there, man. And great to have you back out on track there with us too, man. But 4 races to go before we head to the playoffs. How do you feel about possibly getting the victory lane and getting yourself into the playoffs with Sonoma, Bristol, Chicagoland, and Richmond?
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to get through Sonoma. I'm usually not too great there, but yeah, all the other tracks I'm extremely looking forward to. I was pretty bummed to miss the last 2 weeks because they're definitely places I'm usually good at and can always have a chance at. So I wasn't looking too much forward to tonight. Like I just wanted to have a good solid finish, and after how the practices and stuff went, I was like, all right, I'll take like a nice top 10. But yeah, then the race got going. It just kind of fell into my hands in certain places. And I just kind of got the skill level and got like you learn a lot by just being out there on track in like a race situation, and you learn a lot that you can't get by being by yourself or even with like teammates and stuff in practice. So it was great with how it turned out tonight.
I mean, it was awesome to watch. Congratulations once again, John, on surviving and getting to the third position at the end of the day. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, I just want to thank all the friends and family watching. Good to have JDF Performance Mods on board and Bosla Auto Lighting, our new sponsor, Block Tech. So yeah, I just want to thank you guys for putting these on. Looking forward to watching it later. You guys have a good night.
You too. That's going to be your third place finisher of John Forbes. Good luck next week at Sonoma, John.
Thank you guys.
Well, from that of third place, let's go down to fifth. A driver that hasn't made it into the top 5 since the middle of last season. You got Dakota Moniz with us. Dakota, congratulations. You grabbed your first top 5 of the season in a very much unknown race. Been reading in Discord on how the confidence level didn't seem to be too high coming into this race. But man, how are you feeling now after a top 5?
Feeling pretty good. Yeah, definitely the confidence was not high coming into this race. This is not one of my better tracks or one of my favorite tracks, but we were able to survive there, and we came out with the top 5. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty great.
That you should be, Dakota, man. Great finish there. Best finish of the season, especially after coming off 8th last week also at Darlington. It's got to feel good with 2 back-to-back great finishes for yourself. But you moved up to 15th in points last week. You should move up even more with tonight's race. How do you feel heading with 4 races left in the regular season to try to get in that top 16?
Feeling pretty good. I know we're going to Sonoma next week, so I'm pretty excited to go there. It's one of my favorite road courses to race on, so pretty confident going there. And then Bristol, that's definitely one of my better tracks. So Chicagoland's another good one for us. So yeah, I'd say my confidence level is it's pretty good going into the next few races. So I like where we're sitting.
Well, it was spectacular to see you climb through all the carnage that was going on there late in the race, Dakota, to come away with the top 5 finish. Congratulations. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to all my teammates. Danny, who had a fast ride tonight. Unfortunate result for him. Ollie and Tyler. Shout out to you guys for putting on an amazing broadcast. As always, you guys killing it out there. And all the admins for doing a great job running this league.
Well, that is going to be the 5 machine. Dakota Moniz coming away with a 5th place finish. Congratulations and good luck next week at Sonoma.
Thank you, boys.
Well, from interviews, let's get ourselves prepared to take a look at our unofficial results, which are going to look almost just as chaotic as you could potentially look at an end result with the way that this race initially started. So many fast drivers caught up in late race chaos. But the one that survives and gets the win done, going to be the 77 of Mark Whitley, as the Mark was able to get the win for himself. Cody Reed, once again, like we said, sponsors a race, gets a fabulous finish. Then 25 will come away with the 2nd place finish for himself. John Forbes will come away 3rd, with Trenton Jump in 4th, Dakota Moniz in 5th, Ollie Fonseca 6th, Blake Hoppy, great recovery after being caught up in multiple incidences, gets 7th. Anthony Gaudio, who's caught up in that earlier wrecks as well, gets 8th. Mason Cassidy, one of the biggest movers of the night, gets 9th. And Justin Smith, him and Cody Reed were the initial start of the race wreck at lap 40, held at 6, comes away 10th.
It's crazy to see these results. I mean, like you said, they shook up so much. I mean, some of the drivers that were running 20th, almost, in top 15s, top 10s here. And you look at the drivers that were running top 8th, all the way back to Nick Crawford in 22nd, Christopher Norris 24th, Danny Cochran 25th, Ryan Berg 26th. All of those drivers right there were pretty much top 8, top 10 trucks. just couldn't finish out the night. Even Malik Kuntz in 20th, his streak of good finishes comes to that they're running good for the majority of the night. So seems like if you were running good other than Mark Whitley, you had some type of issue. Some recovered, some couldn't recover after damages.
And the damages for some could be putting you in a tough spot heading into these final 4 races. Sonoma, Bristol, Chicagoland, Richmond. Zach, I mean, with Danny Cochran drops all the way down to 25th. He has only had 2 solid finishes this season, a 13th place finish, and last week when he got 3rd. Every other finish has been 20th or worse. We might not be seeing our Season 3 champion in the playoffs at the rate that we're going unless he gets a win. It's looking like here.
It's looking to be that way, Sam. But, I will say with the schedule we have, I think he's got some good chances. He's a past winner at Sonoma. So going there next week, he's got to feel somewhat of confidence. So we'll see what he can do there. But, he's got a tough schedule ahead of him other than, Sonoma looking good, and then Bristol, Chicago, and Richmond. He's got chances, but he's got to finish those races. It's just been trouble that has taken him out of situations, and he's starting to show the speed again. He's just got to have those clean finishes to follow him also.
And clean finishes are going to be very necessary. Also, other leagues that we cover are in the middle of their regular season, as we also cover tomorrow night, going to be the Full Send Racing Series, race number 3, as they head to Dover in the Xfinity cars. Wednesday, WSSR Roast Gems Cup Series. It's race number 5 at Darlington. Then Thursday night, Stars and Stripes gives us a great run as we're heading to Pocono. The Tricky Triangle should be a great showing in the Gen 4 cars on Wednesday and Thursday. So much amazing action for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, but Zach, end of the night, most cautions we've had so far in the season, but it's Mark Whitley who gets the crown. Any final thoughts before we call it an evening?
Well, if you said coming in tonight, most cautions in New Hampshire Motor Speedway, they are connected, I wouldn't be too surprised. So, not surprised to see that coming out tonight. Good win by Mark Whitley with 2 in a row for him. He's on a roll, so the field's better. They better get their stuff together because they're going to have to catch this man. He's definitely starting to build up his resume and look like he's getting back into form. So, I think heading to Sonoma next week, we could see a surprise winner. It's a road course, and we've seen before road courses are always wild here at ISRC, so don't miss it out there, folks.
Do not want to miss. Road course has been a fun one to watch for the Truck Series, but I said it at the end of last week after seeing Mark win, the beast has been awoken. The 77, the most winnest driver in the ISRC Truck Series, is trying to finally get that championship, and he's shown that he can get to victory lane twice this season. Will he get his 3rd next week? You have to find out, but for tonight, thank you for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr. in the background, and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us on Monday night. We will see you tomorrow. It's the Full Send Racing Series heading to Dover. Who's going to get the win in the Xfinity cars? Can't wait for it, and we'll see you in our next Freaky Fast broadcast.